Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Adam, Meakin, Arwin, Eli, Neil, 10th Man, Refracted Curvature, Righteous Force, Brian's Logic, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Hello, hello.
Hi. Good morning.
Afternoon.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome. Hello, Jorge. Good to have you all. Welcome, one and all. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge that's a horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
We wouldn't expect any evidence for that claim, Nathan.
It's marked with an X labelled horizon in the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator and is claimed to be the reason boats go over it. It's definitely their claim, we can just debunk it with the black swan. So when they say nobody's claiming the horizon is a physical leading edge of a sphere, yeah they are. They just know it's debunked and have to deny it after it's debunked. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Been debunked in 2020.
It was debunked in 2020, Jorge. Black swan, baby. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
What is the sun for 2000, Alex?
What is the sun? I don't know.
Next question, please.
Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
No, because the adjacent of the elevation angle is an actual horizontal measurement, which can span for thousands of miles. So no.
So you'll need a flat plane for it then?
Well, you can't use a globe out for it.
But they say it is a sphere. Any evidence of the R value used to claim it's a sphere?
Well, are you looking for like a measurement, something like that?
The box run again.
Yeah, measurement.
Is it a measurement?
Yeah.
Well, no, that would be impossible. Because even within their own rhetoric, everything we see is always refracted, which means that the globe Earth they claim to be seeing is always at least a globe with a radius of 4,618 miles. So it would be impossible to see what you're looking to. It would be impossible for them to see what they need to see to make the measurement.
Is there any evidence
within their own claim?
Yeah, they've self-debunked. The moment we presented the black swan, they affirmed it by telling us it's refracted. Debunking their own claim in the first instance. Any evidence that level runs equidistant to the centre of Earth?
That's level.
No, level is not equal with the centre of a sphere.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Negative.
Afraid not.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
No, just
Newton or
mathematics.
Einstein's paper when it was proposed, neither of them have any hypothesis, nor any subsequent experiments that follow any hypothesis. So, no, there isn't any scientific evidence of gravity.
John Jorge?
What?
No, just maths. It's a concept after all.
Brian?
Well, they're not sure what gravity is. They don't know what gravity is, and that's from their own mouths. So how could they have scientific evidence for something they don't even know? They don't even know what it is.
They won't. It's a pseudoscientific claim. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Negative. It's not science.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
I would like to quote the conspiracy cats. Without the container, there could be no pressure. So no.
Well, that concludes the housekeeping. So in the...
I have a suggestion.
Hold on.
Oh yeah.
Joe Bell yesterday in chat said that that's absurd. The gas is not rushing into the atmosphere. So he basically admitted that we're contained.
The gas doesn't rush into the sphere-shaped air. We don't have sphere-shaped air.
Exactly. He's saying it's not rushing off into outer space. Correct, because we're contained. You got it right, Phil.
I see. So his rebuttal to
Well,
us
that's not what
saying,
he said.
if the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space. And his response was, but gas isn't filling space. Yeah, so what you're saying is, well, natural law violation. What? Yeah, great rebuttal.
I'll get the exact quote. I'll be right back.
Yeah, their defense is to say, in my begging the question, sky vacuum, gas doesn't fill it. It just disobeys natural law. It just doesn't fall in line with how we observe gas behaviour, because I've still got a sky vacuum even though it doesn't work in natural law. So the gas isn't filling the space. Right, yeah, but that's what gas does.
And he still
would.
has air in the form of a sphere, though.
Yeah, and it's sphere-shaped air. Atmosphere.
What were you saying, Brian?
I have a new housekeeping question. It should have been a housekeeping question all along. I'll wait till Neil comes back with his quote.
Let's hear it.
So I don't want to step on what he's saying.
Wow, you've brought it up in the middle of the live show, so that's awkward if you
It's
ask.
in Master B.
Yeah.
It's in Master B.
Yeah, I'll leave you read that first. We'll get into that in a second, Nathan. It won't only take a second. What I'm going to do.
Driving. Can somebody read it? I'm driving.
Yeah, no worries, Neil. Can someone read it?
It's on screen.
Do I have to
Can someone
read it?
read it? I'm waiting for someone to read it.
Okay, I'll read it.
Go ahead.
Okay, is this about Phil B? Okay, he said to Neil, this is silly. The pressure at 100 kilometers is 0.0000146 psi, a vacuum. The air on the ground is not rushing to fill that space.
Yeah, it is. It's filling the space it has to fill. That's what gas does. So if he's saying the gas isn't rushing to fill that space, really? So gas doesn't make its way up after being created at ground level. That's exactly what it does. Makes its way up.
All right, and by the way, then he says the satellite is being used right now.
That's all right. What, in a sky vacuum, in an orbit? No, definitely not. We've debunked all of that.
I'd like to know who measured this 100 kilometers up thing. Who measured that and what did they use?
It might be the case.
Any man,
There might be stuff 100.
I was looking at it differently. I was looking at it like we have containment right now, right? So, I mean, is it that the gas rushes and it's contained and that's it? It's because we have containment. Am I not correct?
Yeah, you can't have gas pressure without containment. You have to have gas pressure pressing on something.
Yeah, what Phil B is, what he's actually stating is PV equals N or G. That's what he's stating. Because he has to remove the T, which is temperature, out of PV equals N or T, and add in G instead.
What's V?
Because they have to deny temperature.
What's
Sorry?
V? What's V?
G.
V.
Oh, V for volume.
Oh, volume?
PG.
Volume? PV equals nRT, and V is volume. How much space we've got, right? The volume, well, their volume is all of space. So with PV equals nRT, where does that leave them? It leaves them with gas filling that V, the volume. Their space is their volume. That's how much space it's got. That's the V.
Yeah, but he's removing the T.
No,
and
swap
putting
the
in
V
G.
for the G. PG equals nRT.
PG
equals nRG.
Yeah. The pressure is sustained instead of by a volume. The pressure is sustained by a downward force.
What
which
downward
creates
force?
a undefined volume. Exactly.
Hold
but
on.
that's
Hold
the
on.
nature of that claim.
Hold on, Adam. You say it's being defined by downward force. Okay, so he's redefining the V as G. I got that bit. But gas isn't going down. It's going up. It's created at ground level. It's in the sky, but it didn't get created in the sky. It was created on the ground. So what's the direction it's travelling? From ground to sky. Is that down?
Technically, it's the opposite of down. But
So his explanation for a downward bias, pulling it down 9.8 meters per second, it's not going down. Useless. I had the same conversation with him yesterday. He's like, yeah, it's buoyancy. I'm like, buoyancy is the force of gravity pulling the gas around the helium balloon down to force the helium balloon up. Ergo, your explanation has gas being pulled down. It's not how gas behaves.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what Adam says. I don't disagree with that. But fundamentally, they're removing the T and adding in a G. Because it's the gradient they're trying to claim. As that's their claim. In the real world, what they have to hang on to is just 1 second, is the gradient. And what's that created by? Temperature. So what do they need to remove to add in G? They need to remove temperature and deny temperature.
Not created by temperature.
Gradient.
That's a consequent. You first got to have containment to have temperature.
Yeah, I know that.
Right, so
But
the consequence. So it's not a consequence of temperature. It's a consequence of containment. The temperature comes later,
but-
same as the gradient does.
Yes, but their claim, what they're initially latching onto is the delta x, which is the gradient. It's actually a delta x, because first you need pressure, and then the gradient of that pressure. So the delta x, if you want to say it that way. But they have to remove the t and add in g, which is 107 years out of date g.
Yeah, how could they add in G without proving G? I don't get it.
But even if they did that, Brian, they'd still have V in there, right?
Yeah, but never mind that.
What do you mean, never mind that? How'd you calculate the volume? What are they going to do? Infer there's a Kármán line. Get the volume from the Kármán line.
I'm speaking from their point of view. Let's not, it's like V is like 90. Shh, don't talk about that.
Okay. I'm still going to put it. Still going to put it apart based on volume.
You're saying that buoyancy is automatically gas go down, go boom boom, because I don't think it really is. I mean, sure, if you mathematically draw in the G in it or whatever, you could suggest that, but I don't think that was ever even meant to be like an intricately linked to a Newtonian gravity type thing. I think it was basically just like, yeah, it goes up, it gets displaced. It doesn't even matter really if you think about it with buoyancy.
No, it does. Displacement. What does displacement mean, Arwin?
Well, effectively, it means that the lesser dense go up while the denser goes down.
Right. That's Newtonian gravity. Gas go down, go boom, boom, 9.8 meters per second to force the helium balloon or cloud up. But that means gas is going
only
down.
if you add all that.
In the buoyancy claim. That's what it means. Besides, what Brian's just pointed out is still, I'm not going to veer away from it, because even in that claim, he's like, oh, that don't matter. No, they've still got a V in the claim, even if they substitute temperature for gravity. They've still got a volume to fill. And if they say, oh, I arbitrarily ascribe a line where gas particles burn their bras in rebelliance of the second law of thermodynamics, and that line, called the Kármán line, is going to be the volume that I ascribe to it. It's like, yeah, but that isn't the volume. There is no Kármán line. Some arbitrarily described point where gas defies the second law of thermodynamics. No. The volume is whatever space it's got. And your space for the gas is space. It's called space.
You're just getting hung up on
That was not
details.
my point, though. I was just saying that I don't think that buoyancy is automatically Newtonian gravity, even though it's being used and suggested.
It's defined that way.
ballers
Look
to
up
be.
buoyancy. You're wrong. Just look it up. Just look it up. Stop. Stop. I heard it twice. Look it up. Look up what buoyancy is, Arwin. Yes, it is. It's directly connected to gravity. Yes, it is. Gas go down, go boom, boom.
It uses G to calculate.
Yeah, but that's
buoyancy
just it.
Can you let Adam
It's a
just explain?
calculation.
Do we need Arwin saying it a third time? Just let Adam explain.
Yeah, so the way in which you calculate it is it uses the G. It's multiplied on both sides. I'd have to look it up exactly, but it's a buoyant force. Is it?
You're talking to your mic.
PGV. So density of the fluid, G, and then the volume of displacement. But let me read it. Notice how the buoyant force only depends on the density of the fluid, P, in which the object is submerged, the acceleration due to gravity, G, and the volume of the displaced fluid. So the way in which you calculate, they incorporate G. It's not to say, historically, before that like Archimedes' principle still used buoyancy and displacement, but didn't include G. Yeah, but the way in which it's calculated now is with acceleration due to gravity.
Down.
Right, but that part is only a
acceleration,
mathematical application.
Acceleration
if you
down.
listen to Nathan's point earlier about a helium balloon, that is the ultimate claim. It's denying gas behavior, isn't it? Because the atmospheric air in their world is being pulled down greater than the helium balloon.
Right. Buoyancy is an upward vector, right? That's what it's being ascribed as, an upward vector.
The upward vector, it's not being described as, it's being used to explain. So if you give them the example with the helium balloon and ask them to explain it, well, that's not down. It's the helium balloon going up. It's not down. No, that's buoyancy, immediately invoking gravity if you're in a modern debate. Well, when they do that, that means that they have a downward force of gravity in one direction, down 9.8 meters per second. That's what they're invoking. I don't know why we're going over this. I thought this was very well understood by us guys.
You say they use it to explain. By the way, good morning.
Morning.
You say they use it to explain it. I just hear it as an excuse to explain why what they claim, which is gravity makes things go down, to explain why not everything is going down. It's just an excuse. It's an okie doke. In my opinion, anyway.
What it is a hijack. Archimedes.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, a hijack of what Archimedes' principle is. Archimedes detailed all this long before there was any ideas of gravity, and officially, and they just hijacked it because they needed to explain helium balloons go up. And just on the PV equals nRT point, they don't deny PV equals nRT, but that only exists indoors. When you go outside, they change it, and they'll tell you about it, and they ignore the V, but they still. When I say for them it's PV equals nRG, they're ignoring the V, like they ignore 90 degrees.
How could they ignore the
Just one sec. Theo Megawerty, thank you for the super chat. He says, I had a dream. One day Adam will speak into the mic. Thank you for the super chat.
Keep holding on to that dream, son. It can happen.
Yeah, in the description, I just looked up a buoyancy. It is an upwards force.
Up, you say?
Yeah, upwards.
I think everything was supposed to go down, though, right?
As a consequence,
like I said,
as a consequence of gravity, though. Yes, it's an explanation for why the balloon goes up. Buoyancy, they just rattle off. And when you say, right, so not going down, yeah, that's because of gravity displacing the balloon up. That's what they say.
Right, but displacement isn't, because you can displace things in any direction. Displacement doesn't offer a vector. Buoyancy does.
Yeah, so it's not, buoyancy is not an up. Buoyancy is a displacement. That's what it is. It's not an up.
No, it's a displacement up. That's exactly what it is.
Well, it's just a displacement due to density.
Sure, but within
some
gravity,
cases-
it's explained as opposed to just because of the density of the medium versus the item in it, it's explained as a consequence of gravity. About the 5th time.
Yeah, but when I drop my phone is displacing the air around it to reach the floor.
Not according to them. With their
Well, who
explanation,
cares
it's
what
just
they
because
say?
it's just because it's going to move with gravitational field, pulling it at 9.8 meters per second in Newtonian gravity. That's their explanation for your phone falling. You don't have to look very far. They drop a mic and say it's gravity.
Wait a second. We got an answer for any evidence, scientific evidence of gravity? There was an answer for that today? I missed it.
No, there is no
What's
scientific
gravity?
evidence for gravity. But when you get into a wrangle-dangle with someone like Phil Bell, they'll start asserting that, no, I can explain why the clouds and the balloon go up. Gravity. It's pulling everything down around them, displacing them upwards. That's what they'll say.
Yeah,
You go, right,
but-
okay, so what is going down? According to gravity, it's the mass being pulled to the centre of Earth. So what mass is displaced? Well, it's the air. So the air's being pulled towards the Earth to displace the helium upwards. So you've got a downward bias at 9.8 meters per second of air going down with gravity. So gas go down, go boom boom. Enter Thunderfoot to explain it with a visual demonstration with bouncy balls, where he pours them into a fish tank to explain this.
And if you dare to tell normies that, they look at you like you have 3 heads. When you tell them that, that's the response that the people that believe what they believe use to defend it. Like all the air is going, all the air around the helium balloons going down, which is causing the helium balloon to go up. I get looks like, people aren't saying that to you. That's crazy. Yes, they are. That's the response that I get from the people who defend the globe. They're like, that makes no sense. I'm like, join the club.
Often that's the case, isn't it? When you explain a heliocentric nonsense to a normie, and they just look at you and go, "Ah, that's not what we claim."
Yep. All the time. All the time. I have to tell them, I'm not making stuff up. You can just look up what I'm telling you, and that's the response.
You want to test this for yourself? Go out, go on your phone. If you're a flat earther and you're like, nah, they don't just deny their own rhetoric. Surely not. Go out, get a video of Starman, the guy in the Tesla, the dummy in the Tesla, right? Just take that image of the Tesla with the ball Earth behind it and just show it to a normie and go, you guys think this is in space, a sky vacuum, right? And every time they'll go, nah, that's not real. That's not claiming to be real, they'll tell you. They're not pretending that's real, though. Don't be silly. You're like, no, they are. That's supposed to be your world. That's supposed to be real. You know it's real because it looks so fake.
Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
So we went through a flat Earth video earlier today that was kind of from a concaver, and the notions of gravity were interleaved with the idea of clitoris Earth in bending pseudo force space, right? Well, I'm a bit puzzled, Eli, why you wanted us to critique that, because when we were discussing it yesterday, the idea was that we would go through sort of people who've debated with globe earthers, and if it happens to be the case that we pull apart the flat Earth claims in the process. But that was just literally a flat Earth video with a concave spin to it. Maybe you didn't get the brief.
I have an idea for somebody that needs to be reviewed.
Who's that?
So do I.
6 years ago, this show.
You think we should go back and critique the show that we did?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would only be fair, right?
A lot of rebuking now.
Can you
mean, Nathan will not stop destroying himself every single time he allows Rumpus to beg the question with the Isle of Man. It'll kill him. You'll be interrupted.
But I think it would be a good demonstration of Nathan is doing this without passion, or what is that called? Malice. He's doing it without malice.
What you're saying
If he
is,
gives the same critique of himself.
Gotcha. So where yesterday I was like, that's a crap argument, Blondie. What the hell are you doing? Get a grip. You want me to go, Nathan from the past, you complete idiot. Why would you allow him to beg the question? Clearly Earth's not a sphere because of the black swan.
Exactly what we want.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, no,
to be fair, I can count on two hands the amount of times Nathan brings that up and rebukes himself.
Exactly.
So
the only problem is, right?
I think it would be educational.
I think it would be, but it would be tedious because, for the most part, in those shows going back and forth, there's a lot of administration, shall we call it? Finding bits of document, putting it on screen, and it's not the most concise thing to just be able to go through. Whereas with the videos that, at least including the one that Eli presented today, it's a formatted video, and I get frustrated with about 3 minutes of bad edit. Not even 3 minutes, 20 seconds of dramatic music with nothing being said and nothing being made as a point annoys me. So on my own show, it's going to be even more irritating when you sat for 20 minutes waiting for the next point to come.
I know where there's a wealth of
Nathan,
just 1 second, Ted. I know where there's a wealth of videos that you can critique if you need to go to one from time to time. Fight the flat Earth. There's no end of debates.
Let's do that. Let's do that now.
That's fine.
Nathan, just before you do, could I say something?
Feel free.
I apologise. I am a flat Earth newbie. I've been in the world of flat Earth for about a month or so. I just want to say I'm a massive fan. This show is amazing. I now have lunch at 2:00 to catch this show. I've learned how to use Discord, which is a miracle. And it's a brilliant and amazing, I can't speak highly enough of the panel show. It's just awesome. So
is that you, Fungi?
Thank you very much. I'm Fungi. How you doing, Adam?
Yeah, not bad, mate. I invited this gent on. I was in where were we chatting?
Flat Earth Discord 24/7 radio.
24/7, weren't it? Yeah. And
you were
this guy
talking to
just thinks he's coming as a
Aristophanes.
newbie. And I just said it'd be good if you would pluck up the courage and come on and just maybe share a bit of his story. He's quite a guy that's been listening to us. And yeah, do you want to just share a bit of your story, dude? Because like I said, it's quite motivating for.
But first of all, the guy's Fungi, right? You're Fungi?
Yeah.
That's right.
Right, just before you launch into your story, Brian, can you dig out any FTFE video? Literally any.
Okay, just give me a minute. Yeah, give me a minute on the computer.
Thank you. Right, Fungi, what's your backstory?
I'd just like to say hello, Neil. Pleasure to meet you. My name's Guy. I'm bricking it right now. I'm a big fan. It's you guys are for celebrities in my mind. Getting to meet Adam Meakin and him talking to me was wow. I was pretty nervous. And then the other night I got to talk to Austin from South Carolina. It turns out that he is wits, it gets it. I was like, wow. And we had a little debate and stuff. And I was like, no, electricity travels on the inside of wires. And he's like, no, dude, it travels on the outside. I was like, you're an idiot. I'm an electrician. It travels on the inside of wires. And it's just things like that. I found just incredible experiences. And Adam said, come along onto the show.
Sorry to interrupt. The skin effect is something that was used when I was in the hi-fi industry as voodoo to flog bullshit in hi-fi wires. So you're telling me that the skin effect, as I know it, is also being used as bullshit in flat Earth? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, I think so. That Veritas guy, or the guy on YouTube who does all the sciencey things, he says that the electricity field carries the energy, and that travels on the outside of wires, not on the inside. And I said, and I agreed with my dad. He's an old school electrician. He said, well, we have sheathing to stop you getting electrocuted. The energy is on the inside. And And we couldn't. We were a bit perplexed because it did seem quite a strange thing to say, but lots of people are saying that.
Very interesting.
Just lots of stupid
Welcome
people.
to the
Yeah,
show,
people,
brother.
people are saying that with
Well-
an ether belief.
Well, that's what I did before.
Or the,
I just want to welcome Fungi. He's
Sorry, just one sec. I did
I just
exactly the
wanna
same thing. I
welcome-
did electrical
okay.
engineering at college. So, you know, when I heard this crap, when I was in the hi-fi industry, I was like, why are people so stupid? Why do they believe this? Do they not know how a wire works? But they do. They just soak it up and then they hand over money. Or they used to. Shout out to Godzilla37. He says, today's show brought to you by Earth Curve. You know it's there because you'll never find it. Thank you for the super chat. Okay, sorry I interrupted you after hearing the skin effect.
I just want to welcome Fungi. Oh gosh.
thanks, 10th. I really
Can I
appreciate
just
that. If you're 10th.
yeah. Let me finish. I just want to welcome you to the show. You truly broke the mold.
I was waiting for it.
But it was a, I knew it.
I tell you what, there's not much room in here with the fungi joining now, is there?
Adam,
I just
hear he
quickly-
really grows on you.
Can I just quickly say, I'm here with my dad, who found flat Earth just before I did, and he basically explained it. He's like, you can't have gas pressure without a vacuum. It doesn't make any sense. And essentially taught me, like, you know, it didn't take long. It took about 2 weeks for the penny to drop. But I was just going to shout out to my father, Mark Adams. Go on, say hello.
Hi. I've listened to your show quite a bit, and I'm very impressed. Very impressed with your knowledge and understanding. I've been a heliocentric fan all my life, NASA fan, and all the rest of it, and I'm very disappointed that I've been like that. Now,
don't be. Feel
you know, I'm
liberated.
really, yeah, no, definitely the most liberated, but also it leaves you in a little bit of a black hole in some ways because of the rest, everything else. You know, it's quite a depressing sort of conversation with people you have. You know, that is the people are just not going to take it on board because it's too extreme and too, you know, people can't believe there's that level of deception in the world. It's just, you know, I'm finding that quite hard to deal with, really. It's, you know, I can't get into conversation because people want, you know, don't want their paradigm to be disturbed in any way. They're very comfortable. Most people I talk to, middle class people, they're very comfortable with what they know. Yeah.
Do you feel you've got the right to correct them?
I feel like if the conversation opens up, I feel like I would, you know, I would love that conversation, but I'd feel that 90% of the time people just say, what difference does it make? What does it matter? You know, and they're so complacent, really. You know, I think they don't want anything to rock their world. You know, and that it smashes their world apart. That's the problem.
I got about 10 minutes into, maybe a bit less, into the most recent Eric Debay video. Now, I'm going to comment, bearing in mind that I only watched a bit of it, but I thought it was really good. So he was explaining the whole, what difference does it make to me?
Yeah, I watched that one. Yeah.
I don't know how it ended, but good video.
Yeah, it's very good.
I don't often praise Debay, but that was a good video.
Yeah, no, I quite like him. I find him reasonably easy to sort of swallow, and I haven't been offended by much of what he says.
Shout out to Arwin. In my mind, I thought Arwin looked really different, and then I saw him, and it changed everything. But I'm a massive Baldwin fan, massive Arwin fan, and shout out to Brian's Logic. Like, I wish I had the sort of brain capacity to see life the way you do. The fact that you sound like the guy from Bridesmaids is just, I know that probably is taboo, but you just got the best voice. And big shout out to Neil, who always chimes in at just exactly the right moment. Like, that man is the best at never stepping on anyone's toes
Metaphorical.
in terms of voice. Right, I'm going to just keep waffling, so I'm going to stop. I really appreciate you letting me on the show and sharing our little story. I'll keep listening and keep promoting the show. So thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you very much, Chet. Tell your friends.
Mate.
Thank you very much.
Came. And as I said, look, nobody bit you, did they? So.
Right, we've got
Gentlemen, all gentlemen.
we've got Brian sent us this flat earther is crazy, but has the first ever flat Earth. Is that the right? Have I said that title right?
There's 3 above that. I'd put in 4. Look at all 4, and you can make your choice of which one you want.
I just don't care. I don't put the first one. The first one I saw. It doesn't matter.
All right, whichever. I don't know what, because the other ones involves Professor Dave and Anthony and other things.
Does it make any difference? Will we find that there's less nonsense in one rather than the other? I don't think so. Right.
Walk away.
Should we tackle a bit of this for 10 minutes? Yes, Nathan, we're all really keen. Oh, well, that's good. Let's do it.
Next incredible content creator is seriously him. I thought I was getting the best of it. I'm not having this. This is my episode 50. I'm FTFE. I'm bloody calling my agent. Hold on.
Why is this? Anybody? What's going on?
Yeah, hello, NASA. Yeah, it's FTFE. Yeah, I thought you were getting me the best of the best for my special. Okay, so why did you get me fired?
Is this what people want from Globe Earth Proof? Little comedy skits. Fair enough.
Fucking planner walk.
The globe is a joke.
Well, yeah, of course I want to get paid. Well, all right, then I'll do as I'm told.
I don't know. Maybe that comes over as really funny to a Globe Earther. I don't know.
Yes, NASA. Sorry, NASA. Yes, I love you too, NASA. Up next is the incredible planner walk, I guess.
Ahoy hoy, I'm Planner Walk, and FTFE asked me to cover the stupidest thing I've ever heard a flat earther say.
Really? Well, let's cover the stupidest thing you've ever said. Right? You've said, nobody is expecting to see physical geometry. End quote, Planner Walk. Now, given that the horizon in the Earth curve maths is marked with an X and labelled horizon and is claimed to be blocking boats and buildings, his assertion, this idiot, that nobody is claiming we will see physical geometry is a direct contradiction to the Globe Earth claim. So the question then is raised, why would Flat Earth, Fight the Flat Earth, invite somebody who has literally stood in opposition to his globe claim that there's physical obstruction at the horizon called Earth curve? Why would you have him on your show? I mean, it just takes someone like me to play it back and go, this idiot has told us that we're not expecting to see physical geometry. That's Earth curve. He told his audience and mine that we're not expecting to see Earth curve. Is this a guy that you want to promote, Fight the Flat Earth, as friendly of yours? Because he's not. He doesn't believe that you can see physical geometry.
Which is very difficult, seeing as they all say such stupid shit. From that time...
So, poisoning the well fallacy. You've not actually talked about anything yet, and you've told your audience that what you'll hear is stupid. That's poisoning the well.
Time that Anthony Riley said that your independent variable is no longer your independent variable if it produces a null result, to the time that Eric Dubé just pretended...
Your independent variable is no longer your independent variable if you produce a null result. What's wrong with that? Anybody got any criticism of that?
No, so it's not. Really. So
what are you going to do if you validate that your presumed cause didn't cause the effect? Do you continue varying it to see who won't cause it?
Yeah, keep flogging that horse.
Keep flogging the dead horse of the null that you validated. I didn't prove it, but it's going to still be my independent. You're an idiot.
Like the conservation of momentum just wasn't a thing. I actually think that might have caused me permanent brain damage.
Conservation of momentum? How is that directly linked to the previous statement in any way, shape or form? He's talking about validation of null being the point where you go, all right, let's move on. Time to figure out what did cause it then, because we validated the null. Therefore, you move on to a new independent variable. Then he talks about conservation of momentum. What's he talking about? That was the biggest non sequitur ever.
damage because I facepalmed myself so hard. Wait, could I sue Eric Dubé for that? But none of this compares to the time that FTFE was explaining refraction to Rad Vlad. You see, FTFE was showing Rad Vlad an example of refraction.
Showing him an example of refraction, globe refraction can't be shown. 7/6 of the radius, it's a mathematical calculation. It doesn't exist in physical reality. Your R doesn't exist in physical reality. According to you, we're not expecting to see physical geometry planar walk. So when you say refraction demonstrated by Fight the Flat Earth, no, that's got R in it, and you can't measure it. Why? We're not expecting to see physical geometry, are we, planar walk? So your refraction's void. Globe refraction's got R in it, Dumbo. Oh, let me guess. What we'll now get is a bait and switch. Because either Fight the Flat Earth or Planar Walk will start talking about conditions in sphere-shaped air. Like actually occurring in the vision that you see. Not that we have sphere-shaped air to observe things through. I mean, literally, Fight the Flat Earth thinks you can't see your own hand in front of your face because the air is so sphere-shaped it bends the light. That's in requirement of the R value. You can't measure if you can't see physical geometry, Planar Walk. Let's see the bait and switch when they talk about actual refraction as opposed to 7/6 of a radius value, terrestrial refraction.
In fact, he was showing him this example. This shows...
Where's the R in this? Where's the 7/6 of the radius value in this? This isn't refraction on a sphere. This isn't terrestrial refraction. This isn't atmospheric refraction. This isn't standard refraction. This isn't even in air. So how is this in any way comparable? When you're talking about refraction on a globe, you're talking about 7/6 of the radius value. They're conning you. So, Planar Walk and Fight the Flat Earth are both frauds. Charlatans. Con artists. Why? Because they've just detailed refraction. For them, that's 7/6 of a radius value. Fact. Now they're showing you this. They've closed the suitcase on globe refraction and opened the suitcase with actual observable effects that have nothing to do with 7/6 of a radius value. So they're switching the suitcase. They're just conning you.
Shows a laser being bent by refraction as it passes through a...
Bent by refraction? 7/6 of a radius? That's not what's happening here. You'll never show that. It's a mathematical value on a sphere that we don't see the geometry for. Therefore, you can't have an R value. Someone want to add something?
Could I just...
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to add that when Craig said that when you think you're seeing your hand in front of your face and not really seeing it, it's actually displaced due to 7/6R. That's incorrect. That's not 7/6R. It shows that he doesn't know what 7/6R is. Because 7/6R is a mathematical increase in the size of the sphere. But the second part of 7/6R keeps all things within the observer's view the same distance from the observer. So the oil rigs are mathematically kept at the same distance from the observer, while the horizon is stretched behind them because the globe has been stretched to such an astronomical size in the BLMSB 69 Black Swan photo. So when Craig says your hand is not where you think it is, no, Craig, it absolutely is. That's part of 7/6R, where your hand is exactly where it looks to be. That is 7/6R. It's not displaced. That's the point. The same way the oil rigs are not displaced from their point, from their position.
We shared that stuff from Flatzoids. Did you save those pictures, Brian, in terms of the representations of what they do with the size of the balls and what reality is and then mapped out onto?
I did share it there a few days ago. Yeah, I showed the size difference. If you give me a few minutes, I'll go up and I'll do it again. I'll have it ready there.
We'll continue this in the meantime.
The gradient. Very simple stuff. But Rad Vlad had a couple of responses, like this one.
So
You wish they bent.
I'm literally showing you a picture of the laser bending right now. I'm literally showing you it. It's right there, right in front of you.
So you heard that right. His rebuttal to being shown a picture of a laser bending was that you wish they bent. But
7/6 of a radius value needs an R value. We don't see physical geometry according to you, Planar Walk. So the R value in your terrestrial refraction has sod all to do with this laser, and definitely needs an R that you can't measure. Let me introduce you to the Black Swan. The reason Planner Walk told us that we're not expecting to see physical geometry is detailed in this image. This is called the Black Swan. If the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, that's the value used in your refraction, by the way, Planner Walk, then every distance to the horizon measurement could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height and beat. That would be O2G. That's the measurement you would need after measuring a flat plane to get H. Let's just add that in there. Nevertheless, this is a straight line to G, a geometric physical obstruction claimed to be Earth curve. And in this image, we can see that the horizon is beyond these oil rigs. Therefore, not a physical limitation to your view, and not a measurable point at G to get R. What they tell us is there's a donkey dick horizon, a bent line, a refracted line. What's the refraction value? Well, it's going to be based on R also. Paradoxically, because you can't measure it anymore to bend this line with it, if you can't measure it and see it. So Black Swan, there is no refraction in sphere-shaped air based on R. This man has told you why. There is no R. You can't see physical geometry, according to this man. So where'd you go from now? What are you talking about? Why are you showing us lasers in sugar water? That's not terrestrial refraction. Terrestrial refraction's been debunked by you, you stupid muppet.
But that's not the stupidest part.
Something's wrong with that laser because they don't bend like that.
I didn't get to hear what the guest said before he got his sentence out while he was turned right down on an absolute shit connection that hadn't been validated by the host. We heard Craig laughing through the top of him. So I didn't hear what he said. Craig, is that your neutral platform? Giggle through the top of the guest when he's offering a rebuttal so no one can hear it? Shocking. We didn't hear what he said. We just hearing Craig cackling like a lesbian.
I'm sorry, we're going to be nominating Vlad for dumb fuck of the year now.
We lost him. We lost Craig.
We not only didn't hear the rebuttal, we didn't hear any refutation to it.
Someone got to be putting in
So yes, he literally said that something is wrong with the laser because they don't bend like that.
Okay, that is stupid. I'll agree. Meanwhile, your refraction isn't what you're arguing about. The fact that you've managed to bait and switch some idiot flat earther into believing that light bending through sugar water is somehow comparable to 7/6 of a radius, you with your smug smiling face have told us we can't measure. So where'd you get your R for your terrestrial refraction Planner Walk? Given that we, quote, aren't expecting to see physical geometry. So how'd you measure it? To give you 7/6 of the radius, to then bait and switch your audiences into believing that light bending through sugar water is somehow relatable. It isn't. Enjoy the aftertaste, Fundy.
How could someone come up?
Correct, Nathan. One second. Flat Earther is correct. Every time one of these people, and started with Mick West, does this sugar water nonsense with a laser, what they do is they don't point the laser horizontally in. They point the laser up, right? The laser goes up, and then that creates more of a bend down the way. Whereas if they pointed it horizontally, what would happen is it would go through the sugar water and towards the opposite side of the tank, it would bend down towards the opposite side of the tank. But it wouldn't have the bend that they're showing, and they're always showing, which is a cheat.
Talking about
Sorry.
the extra rotation.
I'm sorry.
aren't you?
Yeah, I know
Excuse
that.
me. Sorry, I'm really
Yeah,
confused. You're detailing what the laser shouldn't do. Is the laser
No, I'm
moving through
talking about
sphere-shaped?
What? No, your man was right to say what he said. He was correct. They don't do that. He was right. But what they do is they point the laser up the way.
I got you the
They don't
first
send it
time.
in horizontally.
I heard. And I'm asking.
I'm just saying that the guy had a point. That's all.
No, he didn't.
I'm just saying the
Because
man had a point.
no,
He
he's
did have a
arguing
point.
about a red herring. So you're saying he's got a good point on the red herring that they've dangled in front of him. They've bait and switched
but
him. He's arguing about what's in the second suitcase. This second suitcase, with actual effects of light, has sod all to do with atmospheric refraction, so no rebuttal in regards to their red herring is going to be commended. I'm sorry.
No, I don't. I'm not talking about how good his argument is.
Well, that's all we're talking about, Brian. That's all we're doing.
Well, but you said that the guy is right, or the guy was wrong. No, he wasn't. What he meant, what he said was correct. You're wrong. He wasn't. The guy was correct to say what he said.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't correct.
Not as an argument, but what he was pointing out was correct. What they were doing was cheating.
Yeah, but he bought the cheat. The swindle was when they swapped 7/6 of a radius value that Planar Walk made specifically clear can't be measured with effects that we observed through a sugar water tank. Then he argued about how the effect in the sugar tank would work, and you're saying he's right about that. Who cares?
I'm not saying he's right about that. Look, don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
What's something that's stupid? Even I couldn't think of something that's stupid.
What about debunking your own claim by saying we'll never measure physical geometry, Planar Walk? Is that stupid? Because the globe claims we've got a horizon marked with an X labelled horizon, and you're begging the question, proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator that's supposed to be physically blocking things in the distance with a hidden value. That's based on an R value you say we wouldn't expect to see. We wouldn't expect to see physical geometry, then Al-Biruni would have never been able to measure it after taking the height of the mountain off a flat plane. So you don't have an R value to claim your refraction that you're lying to your audience about when you show them lasers.
Or maybe that's because I'm thinking about it. But still, imagine being shown evidence of objects falling to the ground and
What about a balloon?
then responding with, well, something's wrong with that object.
What, the balloon going up? There's nothing wrong with my balloon. I let it go and it went up. What about the clouds?
Because objects don't fall to the ground like that.
Well, like clouds, they don't. They go up, you smug twat. Are you're not familiar with clouds? Are they going down, go boom boom, like the bit of paper you dropped? What about the gas around you? Is that falling, forming puddles as you breathe it? Is that going down 9.8 meters per second, or is it just filling the availability of volume after being created at ground level? Because the gas around you has mass. It's definitely not going down. So you think gravity pulls the gas down into puddles? Definitely not. You're an idiot.
So yes, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
I would agree. It came out of your mouth when you dropped something and ignored the very air you're breathing, which isn't falling.
Flat Earthers say. There's not...
Flat Earthers say, no, you're a globe believer. You support us as a flat earther when you tell the world that you can't see physical geometry. Therefore, you can't measure it. Black Swan. So, bait and switch, con artists selling you light moving through sugar tanks when they're talking about a mathematical derivation of an R value. They can't measure, and this man's told you how.
Not much to say about it because it really just speaks for itself. Anyway, back to you, FTFE.
Why are you pointing down? I'm over here.
Because you're both dicks.
Bloody useless. If you want to sub to him, then I guess his link will be in the description.
You can go and check him out when he debunks the radius value and its measurement by telling you that you can't see physical geometry. Very useful to you. If you want to be a flat earth believer, you can go and plan a walk and he'll tell you how you can't measure R. Very useful, I agree. Sub today to know exactly how we won't see Earth curve getting in the way of stuff. We wouldn't expect to.
The next stupid thing that I want to...
Go on.
I was going to say, this guy's talking about how he wouldn't say things so stupid. This is the same guy that came here and detailed himself to us how flight times would be shorter going from west to east when his rotation of his supposed ball is going from west to east. This is the same guy years ago. And he's running around talking about how stupid other people are. This is insane.
That's all they've got. They just poison around. Sit cackling. That's their best response, because when they actually came to doing the job of debunking the claims, they presented a bait and switch. All they did was offer up a suitcase that looked like it had refraction in, which got closed, 7/6R, stuffed behind the desk, and then we opened another suitcase with light moving. They're like, these two things aren't the same. One's got an R value in it. Where's your R value? Ask Planar Walk how easy it is to measure that R value when you can't see physical geometry, according to him.
To show you is a really, really stupid thing that you have probably seen on my channel a few
Another poison in the well fallacy, presumably.
times. But its stupidity blows my brain out every time I hear it.
What, a couple of minutes of poison in the well before you get to your example?
It's also the incredible arrogance that is displayed by the one, the only, thank fuck, sleeping warrior.
A solar eclipse will happen every single month. And why? Because it takes 27 days, 27 point something days for the moon to orbit the Earth. So at some point, it's going to cross the sun. and it does it every single month. Now, I have no explanation for why it takes every 100 years for America to get one, because the law of probability dictates that it should be every few years, but we're being told it's once every 100 years. So there is a solar eclipse every month. The only problem is we don't see it because it's usually over the water. So you can bet me £1,000 because you're gonna have to come up with the reason for why it's not when the moon orbits the Earth once every month.
This is from quite some time ago with Anthony begging the question like mad.
I bet you £1,000 solar eclipses happen every single month. The issue is we never see them because they're normally over the Earth.
Wrong. Solar eclipse is described within a heliocentric model while Anthony begs the question on their behalf 5 years ago, or however long this was.
Normally over the water.
It hurts. My brain actually gets sad when I hear him say that, and the confidence he displayed. And when I then asked him about it, he doubled down and said that he was right. I wonder why he deleted the channel that was posted on then. Anyway, Sleeping Warrior, you fucking idiot. Go to the remedial classroom.
Sorry, but where's the debunk? Is that coming now?
Okay, class, welcome back to the special room once again. Settle down. What is it, Mr. Riley? You've put...
Okay, so hopefully we'll get an actual lesson out of him. We'll see how well he does.
It was a great party. Yeah. But someone's got to do the dishes.
Let it be. Put crayons up your nose and now you can't get them out. Why did you put crayons up your nose?
So where's the debunking?
Because they look tasty. That's not how you don't eat crayons. Never mind. This will probably go quicker without you. Just go to the nurse's office. Okay, so Mr.
So that's two phrases he's nicked off QE. Imitation, highest form of flattery.
Riley tried to claim that there should be a solar eclipse every month because the moon orbits the Earth every month.
Yeah, Anthony begged the question on your behalf. I hope you have a field day with this. Anthony knows better these days.
It's a strange thing for a flat earther to claim, but whatever. This isn't the case, of course. Only an absolute idiot would think that because space, is 3D. The moon's orbit wobbles up and down, and that means...
Space is 3D? So let me get it right. You're going to ignore pseudo-Ramonian for space-time? I thought your space was 4D. Einsteinian gravitation? Why are you describing it incorrectly? Are you 107 years out of date? You're not up to date with the current globe Earth rhetoric of fourth dimensional space-time? This is wrong. Don't you know your own rhetoric? Why am I having to correct a heliocentric idiot? Let's be honest, I can use that word, not as a poison in the well fallacy, but based on your idiocy that you've just described your world as three-dimensional, when it's fourth dimensional, according to Einstein. So, he doesn't know his own rhetoric.
Means that most of the time during its orbit, it won't actually be...
Orbit? Why are we begging the question of orbit? Because Anthony's done it for him.
In between the sun and the Earth, which means that the moon's shadow will be either above or below the Earth instead of hitting it. Now, your homework. Everyone is to learn to tie your shoelaces. You're all grown fucking adults and...
Right, how did we prove orbital motion? So we're just going to beg the question. I mean, Anthony has done this on his behalf, so I'm not really in a great position to moan about the fact that he's begged the question when Anthony's given it the example. So anybody else want to be able to pull this apart? Because I'm struggling based on the fact that Anthony begged the question for him.
Well, it's just really funny to me that he says that flat earthers can tie their shoelaces when that's kind of like Einstein's problem, actually.
And shouldn't keep tripping over your shoes. Now get out. Did I stutter? I said get out. I hate you all.
You didn't debunk anything or prove orbital motion, though. So,
You,
as much
you
as
were
Anthony...
asking before
Go on.
why he's talking about gravity in that way. Well, you don't remember? He came here and told us that gravity is a force being created by the force of gravity.
Emergent force.
It's not a force. It's not an emergent force. It's not a force at all.
Right, but that's what he thinks.
Next up is an actual physics teacher that happens to also be one of the funniest people on the planet. Yes, you fucking moron flat earthers, it's a planet, shut up. I think he's a person anyway. He might be a cat. More research is required.
So when I was asked what is the most ridiculous thing a flat earther has ever said to me...
Before we get on to this, gentlemen, I'm nice picture. I didn't, even though Anthony begged the question and his question was within their model, did raise a point, which should have been addressed and wasn't, which was why the lines of sight, you don't get these things with regards to the moon, the eclipse with regards to the moon, as it does transit between the sun and the moon. Why is it not happening all the time? But they didn't address that. I mean, it was addressable, but he didn't actually, did he? Probably the only point of critique.
That's why I stopped, because as much as you've brushed past it, it is addressable within the heliocentric model. But as we're in...
No, it is, but he doesn't. That's what I'm saying.
I agree. I was just about to say that. I'm going to affirm. You're right. He hasn't actually refuted it. Now, I could offer the heliocentric rebuttal. I'm not going to. But he didn't do that. Now, that's not to say that there isn't one. There is. But he didn't offer it.
To me, I felt spoilt for choice. Immediately, my mind went back to the time when I asked Nathan Oakley what his favourite Christmas present would be.
It would be 3. He's never asked me what my favourite Christmas present would be. I've asked him 100+ times how you can have gas pressure without a container. And he's answered many times. Without the balloon, there can be no pressure. Without the container, there can be no pressure. Right? So why are you talking about Christmas presents? You haven't asked me about Christmas. I've asked you about gas pressure, though. Because space is fake. Be girlfriends.
But then I thought I couldn't possibly use that. Not after Nathan Thompson once told me that he was doing a brain training program.
Nathan Thompson didn't tell him he was doing a brain training program. This is a liar. Just lying.
Actually made his feet grow.
So, man, my feet are getting bigger. I grew 4 shoe sizes
So this is poisoning the well fallacy number 2 on the same show.
Since I've started this program.
But then I thought, no, I can't use that. Not after that flat earther actually confused the term fusion, as in nuclear fusion, with the word fizzy.
Well, if it's fusion, isn't that just bubbles of air in water?
So poisoning the well number 3.
But then, will any of that ever beat this?
Mass is identical to weight, but this weight is space weight.
Well, if anything could, it might just possibly be this.
If you were travelling from Scotland down to London on a ball, it would be downhill all the way. You wouldn't need to put any petrol in your car. You just use your brakes.
But in all honesty, after this week, I don't think I can use any of those arguments, because just this week on Agree to Disagree, I had the most spectacular argument presented to me by...
The title of the show is Agree to Disagree. Wow.
That's the title of their show, yeah.
That sounds familiar.
A flat earther who was arguing for the existence of God. Now, the debate itself, does God exist, is not necessarily a ridiculous debate, and I think if it's done well with 2 articulate debaters, it can be quite interesting.
I can sum it up in 2 minutes with the ontological primitives. The claim that Earth was born out of nature is a claim that violates the first law of thermodynamics. That would be to say that energy cannot create itself. Therefore, nature isn't going to puff itself into existence in a Big Bang. That leaves you with only one alternative. There must have been an external force creating what we call the world. There you go. I just summed up that argument in about, 30 seconds?
But I was gobsmacked at just the sheer lack of evidence that this flat earther brought. Check this out.
God is an infinite consciousness. He can be physical and non-physical.
Yeah, just baseless assertions from flat earth muppets. So, I mean, I've got no issue with this as far as I'm concerned. This is nonsense by flat earthers. Critique away, cats.
And the empirical evidence you're using to infer that from, just so I'm clear, and I'll pass you back to Leo, the empirical evidence you're inferring that from...
What does empirical mean? Definition would be to test by experiment. So you're asking him for an experiment. Okay? And put that in our back pocket for the later claims that will be made.
Is that shapes exist.
Yeah, our vessels are objects.
But no,
because
I
we
just wanted
have
to clarify I was right with that.
So shapes exist, therefore God.
So there we go, but I suppose we all know if you're a flat earther, what's more important is the conclusion you draw, not the evidence you draw.
No, I agree. Yeah, many people in the flat earth community will draw conclusions and put far more emphasis on the conclusion than the evidence that they've used to come to that conclusion. I agree.
That
I have a
conclusion
question on what he just said.
Go ahead.
Because he said, they said empirical, and then they said that shapes exist. How are you going to, I don't get that. How are you going to test that shapes do exist? That's like an axiom. I don't get that.
He's segueing from poisoning the well to actually starting to make some claims of his own and refute some of theirs. So we're in a transition stage between poisoning the well, which is why it's come across so convoluted, in my opinion. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, that guy who said that if he was traveling from Scotland to London, that he wouldn't have to use any petrol because he'd be going downhill all the time. Well, technically on their model, he would be, if you know what I mean. It was like from his point of view. So even though it's ridiculous, it's only ridiculous because their model is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Because he could pass a guy going from London to Scotland who'd also be going downhill, because the both of them are going downhill and uphill all the time. You know what I mean?
I got you.
So
It's a bit.
you can't laugh at that.
Well, it's a bit like Fight the Flat Earth not actually refuting the claim, and in this instance, he's not refuted the claim. So if he's suggesting that, I don't like it, because it's like you're taking part of their claim and making an assertion that leads them into bringing up gravity, so they can argue the toss about you being, relatively speaking, always at the top of the ball, and the gravitational field being the same across all of the surface, therefore you wouldn't notice it as down. I mean, I'm making their argument for them, but they're not doing that. They're just saying, listen to how stupid this argument is. It's like, okay, offer up a refutation for us. You're giving us no meat, right? You're just hand waving.
The gravity they need. Sorry.
Go on.
I'm just saying the gravity they need for that. It doesn't exist since 1915 in their model. So
anyone
I mean, it's like this could get deeper, where what your man is stating should really happen on the model or something. You know what I mean? Their model is the ridiculous part, not what your man is saying. Your man is saying that doesn't happen because we're not on that model.
Brian, this goes to what in the pre-show we talked about, the Tesla, the car in space with the dummy astronaut in it. You know, when you show it to people, they say, "Nah, that can't be real." So it's the globe claims. Once explained, the globers don't even know them themselves. They think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, even if it comes across as sounding ridiculous, and I get it, I understand, and they could probably critique it with someone who doesn't know much about gravity and stuff like that. But in the end of the day, it's only ridiculous because your man is trying to make sense of this absolutely ridiculous model they're claiming. Sorry, I won't hold up the show.
No, you're doing a good job. Don't worry. Do you want to extend the live show a bit? We've got 100+ people watching, and I'm in the mood to stay on live for a little bit longer if everyone else is.
I'm fine with it.
But I think I'm going to have to go because I'm just feeling a little... Sorry.
Dick and fart jokes.
I should definitely keep that door open for fresh air.
Yeah, sorry are we, mate?
It's just disgusting.
All right, I said sorry.
This is it. This is your standard dick and fart jokes.
Get out of the house.
All right, wasn't that bad. See you later.
Thanks for that, Cats. Find the link.
Thanks for what? He didn't debunk anything.
To his channel and his twin brother's channel in the description below. Next up is a man that needs no introductions, but, you know, I'm gonna do it anyway. He took the debunking world by storm with his viral video on a gate-swinging flat earth scientist. And
Hi, man, Dan. So, I don't know why you're making light of this. If I was on his side of the argument, like you are, I'd feel a little bit robbed by Simon Dan and his shit content, because he went viral with a video that was just shite.
And rumour has it, had his legs replaced by prosthetics, just so NASA could test their new Lego-based technology.
Given that they've been poisoning the well for the entirety of this show, I'll do the same. Simon Dan claims that there's no Earth turn proof. There's no reference frames. They've been ruined, according to Simon Dan. So you're going to invite a man onto your show that debunks this spinning Earth you've got as your backdrop? Because Simon Dan says there's no reference frames. I've heard you personally claiming that pendulums and gyroscopes prove that we're spinning. They need 2 reference frames. You're about to go to a man who says they're debunked. They're ruined, according to him.
It's Simon Dan, and this is the dumbest thing he has ever heard a Flurf say.
Thanks, Craig, for inviting me for your 50th episode, and I've chosen a very special moment from the now legendary Sleeping Warrior. If he had completed primary school here in England...
back to poisoning the well.
Or maybe in year 7 in secondary school, you will know what an equilateral triangle is. which of course is a triangle with 3 equal sides. You would also have learned that the sum of the angles of the interior of a triangle...
So, triangles, right? You're going to now detail triangles. You know, that's really interesting, Simon. Dan, because we currently talk about triangles here quite a lot also. Now, while it might have been embarrassing for whatever Anthony said in this next poison in the well fallacy that you're employing, you're not actually using these triangles to prove Earth's a sphere or debunk that the Earth's flat. You are merely attacking one man personally, Simon Dan. This is your best of the best, most supported anti-flat earther, by the way. And he's not debunking the globe. Debunking the flat earth, my bad. He's not proving the globe. He's attacking one man personally.
Triangle adds up to 180 degrees.
How'd you get an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline? Simon Dan. Given that you're now an expert on triangles, and triangles are most assuredly used in celestial navigation, I'd like to know how you acquire one on a curved surface. Simon Dan. Please can you share this video with Simon Dan, because there's a question directly for him, given that he's a triangle expert. Okay. Mr. Expert on triangles, how'd you get an elevation angle from a curved baseline? You smug twat.
No problem there. Or is there?
Yeah, there's definitely a problem, because you can't get this triangle that you're describing without any reference to proof of a globe or debunking a flat earth. Just your personal attack on Anthony. But we're talking about triangles now, aren't we, Dan? So we're going to need an expansion on this triangle explanation, given that there is actually a claim directly linked to the nature of Earth with celestial navigation and triangles. So Dan's the expert on triangles. I want Dan to know that I am proactively contacting him on this occasion for the first time, because previously it was him contacting me proactively with his tweet to tell me that he can't prove Earth spinning because the reference frames are ruined. Right, Dan? Now I'm going to do the same for the first time. Proactively contacting Dan. Well, not really. I'm asking other people to do it on my behalf because I'm lazy. But either way, to ask Dan about his triangles. Because he's a bloody expert on triangles. And we talk about him here with celestial navigation. And we'd like to know, given that it's using triangles, how you get one off a curved Earth. Please let him know.
For Sleeping Warrior, it appeared that it was a little bit harder than he first imagined.
To cut to Sleeping Warrior before you've talked about the globe or the flat Earth? Well, a useless crock of crap.
Anthony, if a triangle has the sides 1 and 1, do you know what the angles of the triangle are?
Which kind of triangle are you on about? Are you on about like a right angle triangle?
If he'd have listened to the question, he should have known it was an equilateral.
The triangle has sides 1, 1, and 1. Do you know what the angles are?
The angles would be... Well, it would be an equilateral triangle, wouldn't it?
He finally gets it.
Right, so what are the angles? Now I'm going to ask this again. If you have...
Why? Is there a point to all of this other than embarrassing Anthony? I probably wouldn't have been able to answer if I'd have been put on the spot. I'm not mathematically inclined either. Anthony's a bloody lawyer. He's a ball-washing solicitor. What do you want? None of them are good at maths.
You have a triangle with sides of 1, 1, and 1.
Adam's not a solicitor.
But, I mean, listen, though. Anthony identified the type of triangle it was. Yeah, he was intelligent enough to do. I don't see what this pub quiz does. Let's take some random ball and put them and ask them general knowledge questions, and that'll prove the nature of Earth. It's just...
They do it all the time. What's 1? Is 1 a length? What is 1? Like, let's look at the question. What's 1? Define what 1 is within his question.
One
He
is
knows
like-
What?
Sorry?
What's this proving or disproving in relation to the debate?
Yeah. But I just wanted to pull apart the question because it's been used as a way of trying to make Anthony look stupid. And now it's been used on this show to try and make Anthony look stupid. So what is 1? If he asked me that, I'd have to ask him, what does it mean by 1? 1, is that a length? What is it?
A unit.
1 what?
1 unit.
1 unit. So 1, 1, and 1. So that could be said about any triangle. A right-angled triangle can have 3 units.
It can't.
Why not?
It's specific to an equilateral, because if the 3 side lengths are the same, then the 3 angle lengths are the same, therefore it's going to be 60 degrees. That's all they're trying to say. It's just like GCSE bloody geometry question, which, like I said, what's its relevance? Whether Anthony answered it with a perfect A, the C grade he's probably got there, or failed to answer it. I don't see how that has any significance, his performance review, in being thrown random maths questions, what it's got to do with anything. It's, if this is the best that he's got to attack our arguments, you see, once again, there's no argument, is there? All we've got is ridicule of somebody's ability to do something they don't do or don't profess to be good at anyway. It's just retarded.
But that's been the whole thing. Listen, the entire time we've been listening, what have they done? Have they actually attacked any arguments that any flat earthers have made? No. All they've done is try to insult or ad hom the flat earther they're talking to or about.
Right. No
Literally,
wonder you guys hate us. No wonder you don't like us. Because when you come and listen to this show, it's debunking after debunking after debunking. We've got housekeeping questions daily. Every single one of them, undisputably destroying your claim of a sphere Earth. That's what you have to tolerate when you come here. What do you get when you go to the equivalent over on the globe side? You get Fight the Flat Earth pretending to talk to NASA on a phone and dick and fart jokes from cats. That's what you get. I mean, if you're an audience member,
like a bad episode
I'd
of
feel
Saturday Night
insulted.
Live.
Oh, my bad. I'd feel insulted if I was an audience member. They think you're stupid. They're talking to you like children. Yeah? They think you're a 12-year-old that's going to be amused by fart jokes. Here, where we take this subject seriously, we debunk the globe. We make it very clear. We reiterate our points after summarising them and detailing them. That's what we do. It's a different league.
1. What are the angles?
I'm gonna pull up a triangle calculator.
Yes, he went there.
Let's do this again. Anthony, a
So, globe proof, flat earth debunkings, where are they? Simon Dan? We're gonna labour on this, and then you'll be cut out of this video after not doing anything useful in regards to the argument. Well, I suppose why not change a habit of the lifetime that you've already fulfilled? You're not doing anything that proves the sphere here. You're just attacking one man.
triangle has sides 1, 1, and 1. What are the angles? Is somebody recording this? Because this is just priceless.
Priceless? What, worth a lot? The value of it is beyond comprehension? You insulting and humiliating Anthony is priceless? No. Utilising the angles of a triangle to measure your world and find your position is something that people do daily. And that needs triangles. Now, linking this triangle to Anthony and a claim he might have made about a triangle used to prove Earth is flat, like I've just done, that might be useful. This is just a personal attack. It's absolutely pathetic.
Well, the one I'm using it's not giving me any when I do it.
Using? What's he using it for? He's not using it for anything.
So either this calculator's wrong or you're wrong.
We have a triangle with sides of 1, 1, and what are the angles?
Yeah, so that's an equilateral triangle, right?
Right, so what are the angles?
Now, it should follow in Anthony's mind that if it is indeed an equilateral triangle, then all of the interior angles should be equal as well.
Who gives a shit? Mr. You and your reference frames are ruined. You've debunked Earth spinning, but you're going to focus on one man's understanding of triangles? Really?
And as the sum of the interior angles adds up to 180 degrees, then those three equal angles means that 180 divided by 3 equals 60 degrees. Will he get there?
Does that work on a right angle triangle?
The sides are 1, 1, and 1. What are the angles?
When is that ever used in astronomical calculations for measuring trig?
Oh, bit of dodging.
Sorry, a bit of dodging? It's the first word we've had on topic! Dodging the humiliation of Anthony's understanding of triangles, as opposed to Anthony's segue onto the nature of Earth?
I'm not going to tell you that until you answer my question.
You're not going to engage in a debate about the nature of Earth until you've humiliated Anthony?
The triangle has sides...
It's not relevant. We use right angle triangles to calculate the distance things, correct?
There we go. Hey, Simon Dan, you've even witnessed Anthony's actual argument being posed. Now, given that you're a self-imposed triangle expert, we want to know how you get that right angle triangle used to navigate the ground we're standing on as a flat plane, given that you think it's curved. That's not how it's done, and it can't be achieved, but obviously you're a triangle expert, and we've been asking for quite some time about a triangle, about an elevation angle measurement from your curved Earth we're not standing on, Dan. So, what, you're not going to segue onto this, Mr. Guest, that we're critiquing when you humiliate Anthony? Oh, well, Anthony's desperately trying to get the subject back onto the nature of Earth, but you don't want to.
We don't even need to use right angle triangles.
What, to navigate? Yes, we absolutely do. He's wrong. Who's the guy talking? Because he's wrong. We would require right angle triangles for navigation. We detail them daily. You can't use them on a sphere, and it's used by us to debunk Earth as a sphere.
What you're describing only works with an equilateral.
Anthony, the fact that you can't answer these simple math questions, crap you, is ridiculous.
Exactly right. Now, you may have forgotten this about triangles, or you may have never learnt it.
Or you may not care because you've come to this channel to find out how Earth isn't flat because it's a globe Earth claiming channel. Or you've come because it's a channel that details one man and his understanding of triangles. That's okay. Clearly, you only focus on triangles, Dan. So we're going to need to know how you get an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline, given your expertise in the triangles that don't help you in globe Earth claims.
And that is absolutely fine. The reason why this is so bad is because Sleeping Warrior spends most of his time...
Because Sleeping Warrior? Because this is the Sleeping Warrior critique channel when you've got a massive globe behind you. No, Dan, no, that globe that would be spinning if you had two reference frames to make the claim. You've said those reference frames are ruined. You have debunked every single person who claims the Earth is spinning. Yeah, do you remember? You and your reference frames are ruined, Dan? That means there's no globe Earth proof of spin. None. Zero. Nada. You've debunked it, mate. Do you think this is the most pertinent thing to be discussing, given that you've debunked Earth turn? Ah, well, Anthony understands triangles. Yeah, worthy endeavour, Dan.
Time trying to tell us all that gravity isn't real, that space is fake.
Space is fake. You can't have gas pressure without a container. Go ask Conspiracy Cats, who was on the same show as you. Without the balloon, there can be no pressure, Dan. So you see this claimed to be your world behind you on this picture? This area is claimed to be a vacuum, Dan. And this, why is it that you've got gas looking like, artistically, it's dispersing into the vacuum, Dan? I mean, that's in line with entropic law, other than it would all do it instantaneously. So we wouldn't have any gas to breathe if we had an area of high pressure next to a sky vacuum, Dan. We don't, that's not a possibility. It's a violation of natural law, Dan. So when he says space is fake, he's right. Gravity? What's that? A downward bias? Gas go down, go boom, boom? No, gas doesn't do that either, Dan. I mean, it's obvious that you don't really understand much about gas, and your hand wave to Anthony saying that space is fake doesn't address the fact that you haven't got a sky vacuum, because we'd all be dead. And it doesn't address the fact that your gravity isn't a force. So it's not going to be holding gas go down, go boom, boom like puddles, either.
And the Earth is flat, and he can't even figure out the sum of the angles.
Oh, one man can't figure out triangles, therefore Earth isn't flat. What fantastic logic, Dan. I mean, you've redeemed yourself entirely. So because Anthony Riley didn't understand the angles in an equilateral triangle, he can't be trusted to detail how we can't have gas pressure without a container and gravity isn't a force, with quotes from George Musa, or that you say we're not going to be proving Earth spins because we haven't got any reference frames to prove it with. I'm pretty sure that makes no odds, and you're just attacking one man and linking that attack to an entire paradigm based on angle measurements with triangles. Yeah, Dan, that's a pretty big failure if you ask me. Shout out to
when I was,
Is that all or nothing fallacy?
Well, when I was incredulous there then and made that statement, what is the point in this? That actually was the point. So if Riley can't do some random maths, then the Earth's a ball was actually what he was trying to demonstrate there. It's just
Yeah. Yep. When he said look a little dodgy, well, that's projection, because literally the entire thing he's doing is dodging the actual argument. And then wants to point out how Anthony is dodging Meanwhile, when Anthony actually brings up the point, he continues to dodge.
He refused to
these guys are
answer. He
ridiculous.
refused to tie it to the question. He said, I'm not doing that till I humiliate you with your understanding of triangles. Shout out to Retro Bill. He says, it's a tense situation as Nathan enters the baller saloon. Pistols are drawn and not a fundy is left standing. They haven't pulled any guns out. They've all pulled bananas out.
Exactly. They beat themselves up.
Did he say the sum of it is 180?
Oh, God. Does it matter?
Well, actually, Nathan, they do have weapons. They have pistols that fire backwards, where they have that model they hold up, the flat Earth model, and they say, see, it's a globe, without looking at the flat Earth that they got in the model.
Well, before we move on,
I really like Kent's question.
Yeah,
Kent
did
said-
he say the sum of the triangle was no more than 180?
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. And then what is it that they do with the Haversine? They create a mathematical spherical triangle where it's more than 180, but less than, what is it, 540?
an oxymoron.
Excuse me, define the triangle. I think you're going to find straight line segments, no
Yes.
curves.
Correct. It's an oxymoron. Spherical triangles is an oxymoron. Tri, 3, angle, 2 straight lines meeting at a vertex. So 3 straight lines meeting at a vertex. That's what a triangle is. What's that you say? Curved edges, non-angles. Where's the angle in the triangle if there's curved edges meeting? There's no angle there. So it's not a triangle anymore. It's nonsense. Before we move on from Simon Dan, I'm dead serious. He's professing to be some sort of expert, lording it over Anthony in his regard to triangles. And he's used that to
Yes,
say,
please.
therefore, Earth isn't a ball. Earth. Keep getting confused because we've spent so long critiquing flat earthers. It's actually globe earthers for a change. Shocking, isn't it? Right, let's just readjust my brain. Right, he's not debunking the flat Earth. What he is doing is saying, because this flat earther doesn't understand triangles, how can you trust his claims that Earth is flat? That's his argument. Okay, fine. So if your argument and critique of Anthony is in regards to triangles, then, Mr. Triangle Expert, I do want an answer. This is something I will be pestering Dan over. Right? You and your reference frames are ruined is one thing. When he proactively contacted me, now I am proactively contacting him about his triangle expertise. Me, no, Dan, I don't understand triangles either. Because we understand that they're angles. Like 2 straight lines? So how are you going to do that on a curved surface to navigate when you're lost? We want an answer.
I want him to define angle before he answers as well, because I bet you he'll give the definition for vertex and not for angle. $10 on it.
I want to know how they come from a curved surface. If we're navigating on a plane, as is described in celestial navigation, with the only capability of acquiring angles being if it's a plane, how does he explain his sphere Earth? Dan, been asking it for months, Mr. Triangle Expert. Let's move on.
An interior triangle. That, FTFE, is exactly why the Sleeping Warrior triangle hash-up is the dumbest thing I've ever seen a flat earther do.
Right. The stupidest thing I've ever seen you do is relinquish your own claim of Earth turn by telling us reference frames are ruined. I mean, this isn't a competition in terms of who can be the dumbest. We're trying to prove Earth in its nature. You are supposed to be taking the positive assertion that it's a sphere. And we want to know, given your positive assertion that it's a sphere, it's right behind you, you've had it painted and commissioned. I want to know how you get a curved baseline to give you an angle to navigate with. Mr. Triangle Expert.
Thanks, buddy, and I'll see you all soon.
Pleasure. We better be seeing you soon. You'll be telling us about the angle acquisition from a curved baseline.
Thank you, Dan, for gracing me with your presence for this video.
And why don't you thank him for not debunking anything and using a poisoning the well fallacy to claim Earth isn't flat? This man doesn't understand triangles, therefore Earth's not flat. That was his argument. I mean, are you too stupid to realise how useless that was? Because it was useless, and I'm here to tell you that.
I'd suggest that you guys go and subscribe, but...
Why? Why would you suggest that when they're not going to find out how Earth's proven to be a sphere, when all he does is attack individuals and then say, therefore Earth isn't flat? Why would you subscribe to him? For great gate content?
Let's face it, we all know you already are.
Yeah, you probably are, because the majority of Simon Dan's audience is thick and will not appreciate that they're not being proven anything with his content. But they'll cheer because he's attacking an individual, like a mob.
Next, I'm going to hand over to a fellow debater of stupidity, MC Toon. He holds regular debates on his channel with flat earthers and 5G crazies. He's got a very different style to me, but if you do enjoy my debates and videos, then you're...
His different style is to prove the Earth's flat. He's got a challenge currently on the table that uses flat Earth elevation angle measurements. What a coincidence, given that we're asking Dan about the triangle acquisition from a curved baseline. I mean, we could just reference MC Toon, who's got a challenge that uses flat Earth elevation angle measurements in the challenge. So Toon's proving a flat Earth. We're over to flat Earth proving McToon. Oh, great. Wonderful.
Absolutely going to love what he's saying.
I am going to love it. I love it when he proves a flat Earth with his challenge. He needs a flat Earth to get the angles in his challenge.
Says, this is MC2. Wait, what?
Time for a dick and fart joke.
He's not a rapper? Oh, apparently it's McToon, not MC Toon.
So, you're wondering, FTFE, what's the dumbest thing a flat earther has ever said to me?
Why would we be doing this rather than proving Earth's a sphere? Or in your case, proving Earth's flat with elevation angle measurements that could only come from a flat Earth, Mr. Toon?
Me. Dude, there's too many. I can't pick just one. There's like a 33-way tie for first.
You're one of them. You're a flat earther. You use elevation angle measurements off a flat plane, Toon. So you're going to include you in this list with your NASA t-shirt. NASA, the guys that lie to you about being in a sky vacuum. The NASA astronauts who claim to be in that sky vacuum in violation of natural law. You're clearly very stupid. You're wearing a NASA t-shirt. That tells me you're thick. Because you like being lied to.
So how about I just...
Go on.
I was going to say, can you define a platform as a debating channel if they don't allow a debate to happen because they silence the rebuttals?
Well, like FTFE did when he chuckled through a response.
Right. Or if they allow one side 25 minutes of unimpeded airtime and then they silence somebody after 2 sentences.
That's normal. That's perfectly neutral.
Pick one, right? So I'll go with when they say the Earth is observably and measurably flat. That's...
Yeah, you've proven it. You've measured it, right? With your elevation angle measurements. You've done that, Toon. You have proven it. So you're going to pick something that you have personally proven in your challenge? That seems a bit risky.
That's a stupid one. So that's
stupid. Why would you include the elevation angle measurements in your challenge if it's stupid? So you're saying your challenge with its elevation angle measurements acquirable only from a flat Earth, that's stupid? This sounds very self-deprecating.
That's great. So there's really 2 parts to this, right? The first is that it's observably flat. This is a qualitative claim. It looks flat, therefore it's flat.
Yeah, that's pretty weak. I mean, it'd be much better if you had a measurement of it being flat. And you do, don't you, Toon? Yeah, elevation angle measurements. You've got them, right? That's much better.
And if you're intentionally imprecise, you could say it looks flat.
Who cares when we can measure it and navigate it flat? As you've done in your challenge with your elevation angle measurements only acquirable from a flat surface.
But only for select circumstances, you know, at low elevation and as long as you don't measure it. And, you know, it's best if you have a low resolution phone.
Low elevation? Maybe we can define what elevation means, Toon. Because obviously, given
as long as you don't measure it. So he doesn't understand what an angle is either.
Seems that way.
Will you just let QE in, Nathan? He's constantly ringing me can't get in.
Go on then, try and join QE and I'll let you in.
Photo too, like this priceless low-res photo from Right the Hand. You can't distinguish the horizon.
What, Earth curve? Distinguish it? You've just told us how useless it would be to look at things and declare things. Now you're going to use the flat Earth example and start talking about the horizon? What, your claim of Earth curvature? Au contraire. Now, while you're not defining this horizon, let's just give it a couple more seconds to see if he actually does define it as his claim of Earth curve. We'll see.
Then he drew a line over where the horizon sort of is and wrote flat AF. Wow.
Yeah, that might be weak, but your horizon is supposed to be Earth curve, McToon. And if the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to the horizon could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as laid down in your begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking earth curve calculator. And we've got imagery beyond the geometric limitations of your hill getting in the way in the form of the black swan. So we've debunked the claim in the first instance, which is that the horizon's earth curve. You're not explicitly saying it, but you're the only ones with a positive claim.
Right, the hand's so woke. And he misses the irony of the impossible shadow cast upward on the clouds. But that's a different topic.
So why is it impossible? Different topic? So baseless assertion fallacy. Maybe you could explain why it's impossible. It's not impossible. We just saw it in a photograph.
The problem for them is that even at low elevation, we don't expect to see a lot of curve, and our eyes are not
don't expect to see it. We see no curve. It's expected to be at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's earth curve. So what do you mean, very little? Why aren't you quantifying it when we've got very specific maths laid down? Are you being wishy-washy because you're about to bait and switch with a different claim? Or maybe you're going to start talking about what it looks like. We'll see.
Precision measuring devices. But they have another little problem. The horizon must be observably flat all the time.
Says who? So is this a positive claim that a flat earth has made, or is this a little straw man that he's just decided to build? It seems like a bit of a straw man. Where's the clip of the guy claiming this? Like with Anthony. Is there no clip of a guy saying this? Is he about to take apart a claim that he's just made up? What's going on? Where's the clip?
Absolutely all the time, even at high elevation. If it's ever observably curved, even once.
What? Observably curved as in physically a geometric sphere edge limitation at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet as per your mathematics? Your mathematics doesn't detail Earth curving from left to right as you're about to detail visually. It details how much obstruction the physical limitation, called Earth curve at the horizon in your maths, would present when it blocks things, with a feet and inches value being presented as the blockage when you don't account for angular resolution changes. So what are you doing? You've got Earth curve maths that claims how much Earth curve at the horizon we'll see. Why are you making up your own claims? In refutation of a clip of some claim about what the horizon should do?
They've got some explaining to do.
No, you have. You're the ones making the primary claim about the horizon being Earth curve. We've debunked it. It's not. Black swan.
Their observations really fall apart when you use a rectilinear lens at high elevation, like flat earther Dwayne Kellum did from 120,000 feet.
Sorry, what did he show us exactly that was flashed up on screen for a second? He showed us the horizon. That's Earth curve, according to you. I'll just debunk it again. If the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, as you are claiming in your globe Earth maths, then every distance to that horizon claimed to be blocking boats and buildings could be no more than the maths claim of 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. We can show that it's beyond the geometric limitations of your claim that it blocks boats and buildings. Therefore, it's not a hill getting in the way, it's not Earth curve. Therefore, the Earth's not a sphere.
Or even better, when Mr. Sensible did it recently.
Mr. Sensible? Wow, you keep introducing these flat earthers. Mr. Sensible, what, at best you'd debunk the radius? I'll just put the argument that Mr. Sensible replied to in the following affirmation of the debunking of the claim of R, the one used by the refraction values earlier, by Planar Walk. Yeah, that R that was used in his refraction when they bait and switched you with actual light moving, as opposed to 7/6 of a radius value, that you can't measure because we're not expecting to see physical geometry according to Planar Walk. Well, Mr. Sensible here says, at best, you've debunked the radius of Earth. That's the Black Swan response from Mr. Sensible. So why are you introducing this guy? He's debunked the other two guys that were on earlier.
But I'll leave those details to him. So the bigger fail for Flurfs is the measurably flat part. This is because they have never produced a measurement of flatness. I ask them all the time. They don't even know how they would go about measuring.
Really? You can just go to Google Earth. Draw an elevation profile. You mentioned the word elevation several times. What's going on? Draw an elevation profile. There you go. Where's the curvature? There isn't any. There's none. You can draw that elevation profile across the whole entirety of Google Earth's surface. And you know what it'll show you? With reference to the elevation at 0, it'll show you how flat it is and how there is absolutely no curve whatsoever. Now that, according to Google Earth, has been measured with LiDAR. What the hell are you babbling about?
Measuring flatness.
So
LiDAR, Google Earth. Is this stereotype fallacy where you ascribe what flat earthers claim, failing on its arse when an actual flat earther hears you claiming it as a straw man? No. LiDAR scans of the Earth and elevation profiles in Google Earth show Earth with no curvature. None. That is a claim to be measurement available to everybody. The elevation profile shows it flat. What are you talking about?
There's an average of 10,000 measurements of flat every day, because there's an average of 10,000 airplane flights every day. That every one of those is a distance measurement.
He's arguing against somebody that isn't in front of him, or wasn't until now.
So why would they even make the claim?
They? Who are they? This stereotyping fallacy we just ripped a new one, you ugly git.
Well, because they heard someone else say it.
They heard someone else, another made-up ethereal person that is fantasized. Where's the clip? What's up, Fight the Flat Earth? Didn't you put this together? Where's the clip?
You know, they're good little parrots.
Sorry, good little parrots based on this clip that you're going to show us? Or is this just a stereotyping fallacy that is invented? Oh, it's definitely a fallacy that is invented because there's no clip to back it. He's just made this shit up. And we've just ripped it to pieces as he said it.
So a measurement is a quantitative claim. There are numbers in a measurement.
What, like Earth, sphere Earth, and the horizon being Earth curve? Yeah, those quantitative measurements would be at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Or they were claimed to be measurable until we debunked them with the black swan. Maybe your buddy, Mr. Sensible, can remind you. At best, we debunked the radius, mate. You don't remember? Yeah, that's measuring your horizon. We've debunked your measurement. You have no capability of measuring R. The one that Planner Walk and the fat chuckling lesbian were talking about earlier? Yeah? That R value's been debunked, mate. So you don't have any measurements. Don't project your lack of being able to even measure the horizon as Earth curve anymore. It's definitely claimed to be. It's marked with an X and labelled horizon in your Earth curve maths. That would be a measurement that you could get. Of course, quote Planner Walk, nobody's expecting to see physical geometry, end quote.
Good measurements include units.
He does have, sorry Nathan, one second. MC Tune does have 3 measurements. There are 3 flat earth measurements that he used within his celestial navigation demonstration.
Yeah, there'd be measurements, Toon, that took place on a flat plane. There couldn't be any other way because they're 2 straight lines meeting at a vertex, one moving out along the baseline towards the horizon. Yeah, that's a flat Earth measurement that you have in your challenge. I think I'm up to about 86. It was well over 100 with muddling up my words, with cats and gas pressure. With MC Toon, it's edging ever closer to 100 times that I have pointed this out to him in comments. You need a flat Earth for that, Toon. Elevation angle measurements. I've also posted you links to more than a dozen citations that detail specifically the flat plane we must be standing on when taking elevation angle measurements. The ones in your challenge, they're measurements, Toon.
Significant digits and a margin of error analysis. One way to measure flatness would be to
with elevation angle measurements, the ones you've got, my friend.
Measure the deviation from a horizontal plane.
Horizontal plane? The one that you'd get the elevation angle measurements from? Yeah, I'd agree.
If the elevation or if the deviation was small enough, within the margin of error, this would be a measurement. Have they ever done this?
Elevation angle measurements, they're done daily. They're used for navigation. You can navigate the entire surface of the world with them. Now, that's a smug little face you got there. How do my balls taste, Toon?
Never. Nope.
Well, not only that.
Sorry, never? No, just detailed one. Go on.
The deviation that he's getting ready to point to is that differential between eye level and sea level. where he's going to invent his Earth curve.
Wait,
So
did he say deviation from a horizontal plane?
He did.
Where he get that from?
Any evidence that level runs equidistant to the centre of Earth? Toon? Where's the horizontal plane coming from? You've got a whole load of fundies that tell us that we haven't got any straight lines. They all run to the centre of Earth. They're all equidistant. So what horizontal plane would that be? What, the surface level in your maths, the one labelled with a straight line that's horizontal called surface level? Yeah, you're going to need to explain this situation, this problem that you have on the globe where you don't have level. It runs equidistant to your sphere Earth.
So there are measurements, though, of the spherical shape of the Earth.
No, there isn't. If the Earth was a sphere, radius 3959, then every distance to the horizon measurement, that's the one in the Earth curve maths claiming to prove we're on a sphere, could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's eye in feet. And at best, we've debunked the radius with the black swan. Debunked the measurement of Earth as a sphere. That's radius.
For example, this one by Jesse Kozlowski.
Perspective. He's measuring horizon drop,
where he measured the deviation from a horizontal plane.
So the differential between the eye line and the horizontal plane that we're standing on, that's perspective. That differential is used to conjure, mathematically, a curve. Sorry, did someone want to add something?
I was just saying, I told you that's exactly where he's getting ready to go, is that deviation, as he described it, between eye level and surface level is where he's going to conjure this curve.
Surface level.
We're going to need him to give us the address of this horizontal plane he's talking about, because we're supposed to be living on a ball. There's no horizontal plane on the ball.
Over a level, calm lake.
So level. So running equidistant to the centre of a sphere Earth. How are you calculating the angle differential? Because according to the fundies on the anti-flat Earth side, McToon, level runs equidistant to the centre of a sphere. So when you say surface level, you mean surface curve. How are you getting a differential in angle measurement then? You can't. You can't do this maths. Do you not understand your own maths? Do you not understand what sphere Earth level means? Maybe you need to appeal to a straight horizontal line for level. You don't have one.
Can I just say that within the photograph he's talking about there is an angular size change at the other side of the lake of everything on the other side of the lake, whereas that angular size change is an optical phenomenon that is not part of globe Earth maths. It's what the globe Earth hijacked to make that maths.
Correct.
And the guy who made that claimed measurement from across the lake spent 4 days in 2016, 4 days avoiding admitting that, which he eventually admitted to me after 4 days.
Deviation at 0.15 feet deviation over a distance of 0.48 miles. Notice there are units of feet, 2 significant digits, and a margin of error analysis. The standard deviation, which is the margin of error analysis, is 0.01. You can look at the details yourself if you want. Just Google Jesse Kozlowski level lake.
Where are you getting level from? This is a big problem. We've just added this as housekeeping. I mean, it's very unfortunate for you that we're playing this after adding that as a housekeeping question. But why are they appealing to level, ever? When their level runs equidistant to the centre of a sphere Earth. They don't have one anymore. They don't have tangents, they don't have levels. None of this is applicable.
But that's not all.
And I would like to say, sorry, second. I would like to say that what Jesse Kozlowski detailed, right, and hijacked as globe Earth proof, is actually what I term and Flat's I terms as optical drop, as what I describe, demonstrate, explain, and show real-world example of, including this, what's known as optical drop. That's what he showed. So he proved there cannot be a sphere with that demonstration.
Any measurements of the radius of the Earth. For example, here's the results of one titled The Figure of the Earth and Isostasy from Measurements in the United States. It was published in 1909. It measures the equatorial radius of the Earth to be...
Equatorial radius is a flat plane. Circle of equal elevation for Polaris. That's a flat plane.
Nathan, do we have the most recent short clip of him contradicting himself about a triangle?
I don't know.
Someone does, please post that. I posted a couple of things in Master D. If you can go to it, I have a short day. I'd like to comment on it in the next 2 minutes.
Go ahead.
All right. So the first one is how to use the sextant. The sextant is an old navigational tool that measures elevation using angular distances. You can use a sextant to determine the altitude in the sky of the sun, moon, or other celestial bodies relative to the horizon. You can then use that information to pinpoint your latitude or your position on the globe relative to the equator. While sextants can give you very accurate information about your location, you typically need to make a few corrections to your reading based on factors like time of year, which astronomical body you're using for reference. Although the sextant's design looks complicated, with an understanding of how it works and a little practice, you can reliably use it to find your position. And the next slide, what is an angle of elevation defined as? The angle of elevation is the angle that is formed between the horizontal line and the line of sight. If the line of sight is upward from the horizontal line, then the angle formed is an angle of elevation. In the previous one, did they not say they used the horizon? And is that why they have a horizon mirror on the sextant?
Yes. Being used
Flat baseline
to establish the baseline. Go ahead, 10th. Did you have something else?
No, it's just that it's a flat baseline, and when they use a bubble sextant, as refractive curvature said, and do it to their eye line, that's infinitely a baseline. But when you use the horizon, it gives you the same, reading and calculations once you subtract from 90. So then, using the Earth's horizon is also straight for all the way to the distance of the GP of that sun or star.
Yeah, it's got to be flat.
6,378,283 meters, plus or minus 34 meters. Notice there are units of meters, 7 significant digits, and a margin of error of 34 meters. You want more? There are more. So professional surveyors measure things using triangles often.
How are you going to get one of those off a curved baseline? You can't.
They're in trouble.
When measuring triangles on a flat surface, the internal angle...
You can only measure angles on a flat surface. You can't measure an angle from a curved baseline. That's not possible.
Sum
Can I
to
just
180.
can I just correct them on something there?
Go ahead.
Can I correct them on something? They do use triangles. They use triangles in the azimuth. They're using triangles to do distances between mountains, things like that. They don't use triangles for elevation. That's rise over run. That's how they get elevations. It's horizontals and verticals. That's how they determine elevations. They don't use triangles in the vertical. They use them in the horizontal with the azimuth scale on the theodolite. And this is not just me spouting off nonsense. My mother's partner is a retired geodetic surveyor. They do not use triangles for elevation. So he's talking complete and utter nonsense when he starts talking about curvy triangles, something that is an oxymoron. That's not what they do. They're using azimuth angles to determine distances between two locations from a high elevation that they would have determined the elevation of with rise over run, which is horizontals and verticals. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Maybe he should address that to the guy earlier that was talking about Anthony and his knowledge of triangles, right? These guys don't ever call each other out. This is disgusting to me with it. It's the lack of intellectual honesty that these guys have, right? You got Fight the Tight Shirt guest starring Sideman Dan. Meanwhile, Sideman Dan is running around telling people there's no reference frames. reference frames are ruined. But that's cool. We could have him as a guest star on my show, and not actually point to him like, hey, you're kind of messing up our argument, because we argue that there are reference frames. Literally, you got this clown saying that he can find his location because of the deviation of a pendulum, but he's not going to call out Simon in, who says reference frames are ruined. Like, these guys are so dishonest. It's disgusting.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So Simon Dan says the reference frames used to claim Earth is spinning are ruined. Fight the Flat Earth says he has taught his child how to utilise the 2 reference frames to navigate. So what gives?
80 degrees. But on the surface of a sphere, the sum must be larger than 180 degrees. The amount over 180 degrees is called spherical excess. Just keep.
So why is this guy completely contradicting the axiom assertion from the guy holding Anthony over a barrel? What's going on? Did Fight the Flat Earth not notice this in the edit?
That in mind. So in 1913, a 577-mile long survey from the state of Washington down to California was performed. The measured triangles are part of the...
Triangles? You've just said that they're not going to be measuring 180. You've just said that they're not going to be angles because they're coming from curves. Do you not know what an angle is?
Published work. There are 148 measured triangles detailed in the book. Every single...
If they're triangles, then they're definitely not going to be proving a sphere Earth then. Because triangles don't have curved lines.
Triangle has a measured spherical excess.
So if it's not a triangle.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, hang on. You can't measure spherical excess with theodolites. What he's claiming can't be measured with the tools they use. You can't measure spherical excess with an order level, and you certainly can't measure it with what they're claiming with a theodolite. It's impossible. Theodolites require horizontals and verticals, and that's what auto levels also use, horizontals and verticals. You can't measure.
Auto levels?
You can't measure. Yeah, you can't measure. Yeah, auto levels. You can't measure anything spherical with a theodolite. It's impossible.
Well, his spherical excess is ridiculous. He just made that up on the spot, because you can't have diverging zeniths from the sun or star that you're having the elevation angle to and the observer's zenith. I mean, this is crazy. If it's past the point of flatness and he calls that spherical excess, then that zenith of that sun or star is happening on a curve somewhere down that globe that doesn't exist, and your distances would never match.
Yeah, a theodolite has an auto leveling aspect to it, where it has to be level. So the azimuth plate underneath the scope is absolutely horizontal. They can't have diverging zeniths. All zeniths have to be parallel.
Yeah, in the alt-az coordinate system, which is what they use with the sextant, altitude azimuth coordinate system, the azimuth is north in a clockwise motion to give you the direction of the luminary, and that's flat. That's like a compass style of thing. It's nonsense.
Quick shout out to Theo Megawerty, who says amount over 180 is called an error. They just rename it. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
So that error they named spherical excess.
Closely at this triangle, measured at Marysville, Butte, and Kent. Right, the spherical excess is 27.51 arc seconds. Notice there are units.
Arc seconds? Hold on a second. That sounds like an angle. Am I missing something?
I think I know what he's talking about. The differential that you're measuring between your eye level and surface level, that it's 90 from your vertical to eye level, right? And then they're taking that as a triangle. The excess is the differential between your eye level and sea level, and then they're taking several of them, adding them up, to get this figure.
Gotcha.
Can I just point out something? Now, I know that they're using scopes, so things are magnified, but the 0.02 angular resolution limit of the human eye is 75 arc seconds. So anything under 75 arc seconds would be difficult to see, even with a scope. He just said there was 25 arc seconds, did he not? Or 27 arc seconds. So this is all calculatory. They're just making it up as they go along. No surveyor does any of these things. What they're trying to do is use the stadia hairs on the theodolite and try and basically back calculate off of what you do with those. It's complete and utter nonsense. They don't know what they're talking about.
Of arc seconds, 4 significant digits, and a margin of error analysis was negative 0.14 arc seconds. Since there's a measured spherical excess on every single triangle, we have measurements of non-flatness, right? The Earth absolutely cannot be flat.
Sorry, he just said negative 0.14 arc seconds. Anything below 0.02 degrees is not resolvable for the human eye. That's the, right? 75 arc seconds is 0.02 degrees. 0.14 arc seconds would be kind of not be visible. Sorry, Adam.
I think what they're doing here is they're plotting those coordinates of those cities onto the globe and then calculating the triangles that would form on the globe. And that's the excess they're expressing.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Does McBooger Eater know what the definition of a triangle is?
It seems not.
So they were dogging out Anthony for stumbling over the equilateral triangle. MC Booger Eater, you don't know what a fucking triangle is. And neither does any of your butt brothers, the bald tart idiots. We've already had that from Bob the science guy. He doesn't know what a fucking triangle is. Right? You don't either. On your next live stream, please define a triangle. Thanks.
Do you want to do some spherical trigonometry yourself? Well, you can. You can actually get the radius of the Earth from these spherical triangle measurements. I've done this myself. I'm planning to do a video on it.
You've done the measurements from an oxymoron?
Yep. Spherical trigonometry is a contradiction in terms, son. Just because they told you it existed, no. Just like they told you atmosphere, right? That you keep backing, right? That's still a contradiction in terms, no matter how many times they've said it and how old it is. Get it, sunshine, McBooger Eater, fucking clown.
And if you've subscribed to my channel, you can be the first to see it. If you want to look at these measurements yourself, I have them on my website. And
look at the measurements. What about doing them? What about them proving your oxymoron triangle understanding?
Many others at mctoon.net/r. So there you go, FTFE. The claim that the Earth is observably and measurably flat is an absolute joke. If you ever hear Flurf make this claim,
just go to MC Toon and look at his elevation angle measurements taken from a flat plane. And you can see how he himself proves and uses the flat plane he could only get those angles from.
Just ask for measurements of flatness.
From you. You've got them. Elevation angle measurements, Toon. I've told you in excess of 89 times, I believe. They're in your challenge. They could only have come from a flat Earth. They're angles. Not spherical angles, you stupid clown.
With units, significant digits, and a margin of error analysis. You
could do that. Margin of error would be how dead they are when they don't arrive at their location they were aiming for. Yeah, the margin of error has got much higher stakes in navigation.
We'll never get it.
What was that address again?
Never get it. I've just given it him before you finished your last sentence.
What was that address again? MC Booger Eater /retard.
Irony of that /r.
Let themselves running away as fast as they. avoid that
Running.
detail. Back to you, FE.
Like the rest, you can find McTomb's link in the description.
And if you want to prove a flat Earth, you go there and check out his challenge, because it's got elevation angle measurements that you could only acquire from a flat Earth in it.
Next up is a man that Toon mentioned, Mr. Sensible,
who has affirmed that we've debunked Earth's radius.
Mr. Sensible sent a probe to the edge of space and...
No, he didn't. There is no outer space to have an edge. Sorry, we've got an edge? Is the edge the thing that the gas pressure is actually pressing on? The edge that he went to, is that where the gas achieves gas pressure? By pressing on this arbitrary edge you've just said he reached? No, he didn't. He just sent something up into the sky.
Captured the curve of the Earth on...
No, he didn't. Earth curve is defined as being a geometric limitation at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as labelled, with an X, with the word horizon next to it. In the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, Earth curve mathematics. This is not in line with the claim of physical geometry laid down in your maths. This is nonsense.
Camera. This has
Is
sent
that
the
the
flirts
geometry
into...
that Planner Walk said you can't see?
Yes. Further to this, you've got Planner Walk, who made it explicitly clear that we would not expect to see physical geometry fight the flat Earth. So what exactly is he showing in this imagery? Physical geometry that we wouldn't expect to see? The hand that's in front of your face that you're not expecting to be there? What's he showing? Definitely not refraction, because you'll need R. And to get it, you'll need a measurement of that geometry. Planner Walk said you can't see.
Absolute
He said it too.
Yeah, with his hand not being where it's supposed to be. So what are you showing us? A refraction? Is that what he's showing us in this imagery? Nah, it's supposed to be Earth curve. We've debunked that because the math says it's supposed to be at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet if we're on a sphere. It's supposed to block boats and buildings. Not be behind oil rigs 10 miles away. In front of them at 1.2 miles. Yeah, hills don't move. So this claim to be Earth curve from the edge of space, sky vacuum, where the gas just stops. What, is this where the gas stops? Yeah, it's just a picture of the horizon. It's not Earth curve, we've debunked it. And Mr. Sensible's told us. At best, you've debunked the radius. What, the one that you'd have to have a geometric horizon to measure?
Good effort, Mr. Sensible.
Yeah, I agree. Affirming that we've debunked the radius with the black swan. Excellent effort, Mr. Sensible.
Over to you.
Why have we got a CGI image? Where's the real globe from space? Oh, you can't take a picture of Earth from space because that would be a second law of thermodynamics violation, sky vacuum. So cue the fake pictures.
Jump. Rastafari.
Again, they think you're stupid as an audience member. They think you want this cartoon. That's what they think. They think you're 11 and you like fart jokes and cartoons. It's an insult.
What the bleeding hell are you doing? Multi-tom-tom. Tom-tom, you can stop that right now. Right, I'll stop it.
Yep, they think you're 12. Appealing to the lowest common denominator, dumbing it down, giving you dick and fart jokes.
Hold on.
I'm sorry, this is not 12. This is more like 8.
Yeah.
This is like South Park age.
Yeah, my daughter watches Lanky Box. She's 6. It's about this sort of mentality.
Now I'll stop it.
Yep, just like Lanky Box. You're appealing to 6-year-olds.
Right, I think we'll give that up as a bad job. Back to the studio. Sorry about that, everyone. Multi-tom-tom, please don't do that again.
By studio, do you mean your back bedroom?
Now, Multi-tom-tom is my favourite flat earther because he knows absolutely nothing. He doesn't understand how clouds work.
Clouds? What, the ones that go down 9.8 metres per second with a downward bias of gravity? Those clouds? The ones that aren't expanding into the sky vacuum when you show us pictures of the blue marble with clouds on the outside next to 10 to the minus 17 Tor vacuum? Those clouds?
Or how the sea can...
Nathan, have you noticed we're back to the address an individual flat earther, testing on a non-related specific piece of information, and therefore define the nature of the realm through his answer.
Right. Earth isn't flat because Multi-Tom-Tom says something silly. Well,
about clouds.
About clouds. Before he's got to the end of his poisoning the well personal attack on Multi-Tom-Tom, we've already pulled apart his claim with clouds debunking outer space. So you just said one word, clouds. I say sky vacuum would suck them all off. We wouldn't have any gas left. We'd never have developed gas pressure on Earth if the sky was a vacuum. Clouds, yeah, they're debunking gravity because the gas isn't forcing them up when it is pulled down with gravity. Gas doesn't do that. So literally with one word, clouds, we've debunked an entire paradigm. Maybe roll on another fart joke.
End round the curve of the globe. But better than that, he makes predictions. This you've got to see. Roll VT.
This is the current President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. On 20th July 2019, it will be the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, and I believe President Trump will announce on that day that the moon landings and the whole space program has been faked by NASA. Now, the point of this video is for all NASA fanboys to prepare for what is coming. When this announcement will be made, it's going to be shocking. So please do not panic.
Yeah, I don't know about panic, Multi-Tom-Tom, but I'll make that announcement now. NASA have been lying to you. If they were in a second law of thermodynamics violation, sky vacuum in a presuppositional orbital motion, then the gas we breathe would fill that space. Gas expands at a high velocity into whatever volume or space it has to fill. And space is a space that gas could fill. So therefore, if the sky's a vacuum with rockets travelling through the gas we breathe, leaving the gas, waving goodbye to it, as it stays in violation of natural law, stuck to a ball in a vacuum. Yeah, that isn't going to be a possibility. It's a second law of thermodynamics violation. There were no moon landings. There were no trips through a sky vacuum. I've announced it. Done. Go on, whoever.
It's not that, is it? It's the Earth's a ball because the orange man hasn't said the moon landings were fake. Therefore, it's definitely a ball again. Instead of proving their ball, they just... Well, what is it? It's...
So Mr. Sensible's evidence in this regard is a flat earther said that on this particular date, Trump will tell the world that the moon landings were faked. And because he didn't, that means Earth's a sphere.
In fact, they say crying is good for the soul.
Ah, soul.
Do not commit suicide.
Get on with it. What is your prediction?
All you NASA fanboys understand the gravity of the situation and to make preparations. NASA will be decommissioned very soon. Thank you and take care.
Tom, on the 22nd of February 2019, you predicted that on the 20th of July 2019...
Who gives a shit? The sky vacuum isn't real. It's a violation of natural law. Everything NASA says is a lie. They are fooling you and duping you. Ask cats. Without the balloon, there can be no pressure. So, therefore, there's no balloon around the outside of Earth. Without the container, there can be no pressure. Conspiracy Cats is right. Your world is a violation of natural law. So who cares what this one man predicted incorrectly?
19, Trump would announce the moonshot was fake.
It is fake, because they'd have had to have travelled through a sky vacuum, leaving us with no gas to breathe. So it is definitely fake. Let's just clear that up.
And he was closing NASA. It hasn't happened. That's the most pathetic excuse.
I agree. It's pathetic that they haven't closed NASA, given how big their lies are. Given that they're claiming men are travelling to a place that doesn't exist. And duping the world into thinking they've got photos of sphere Earth from a sky vacuum. When Earth isn't a sphere, we've debunked it. We've debunked the Earth curve claim that you've got from the edge of space, according to some fat lesbian. So everything you say has been debunked, my friend. Maybe that's why you're focusing on one man's incorrect prediction about what Trump would say, rather than actually proving the Earth's a sphere or debunking the nature of Earth, proven by McToon earlier with his flat Earth elevation angle measurements in his challenge. Go on.
Nathan, just chalk. Didn't isn't Trump the guy that invented Space Force?
I don't know.
Yeah, I believe he's the one that started that. Yeah.
He's unlikely the one then to call it all fake, isn't he? This seems.
I mean, I've heard that conspiracy theory before. I heard that, but like, again, Nathan, you're saying, who cares what this one man thinks? Well, that's the point. They do. If they can point to one flat earther saying something that's silly, that they don't have to make an argument. That's literally, they take that as an argument.
That's
Because
their
this guy
standard.
got this prediction wrong, everything that we say is right.
Yeah, that's their
They-
standard.
Shut up.
But look at what they're going to address. They're not coming over here and addressing the housekeeping questions, are they? They're addressing some guy that's making some spurious claim. Yeah, they're attacking Tony on his description of a triangle, which is, you know, what? None of the things they're choosing to address have any relevance to their claim.
For a prediction I've ever heard of. And what
Brian picked and chose who he was going to debate, and they're picking and choosing what some flat earthers said.
What's
I've said
really
it
worse,
before.
what's worse than being so stupid as to make a prediction like that is leaving the video up. However, you have no fear, do you, Tom Tom? Which is why you issued a challenge to someone for a debate.
This is an open debate challenge to Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Dear sir, I am challenging you to an open debate on a platform of your choice.
Well, Tom Tom, I'd say that's quite ambitious. And Mr. Carl M said Dunning-Kruger at its finest.
Excellent rebuttal. So he's asking a guy if he can have a debate. Rebuttal? You're stupid.
Who was the Dunning-Kruger in that?
There isn't any.
No, the guy's not using. They do like shouting Dunning-Kruger at us, though, don't they? It's one of their favourite things.
I don't know what it
As soon as
means.
You say, yeah.
Said it before, that their enemy is us. Our enemy is the fake narrative that's being pushed onto people. They don't care about that because that's their little blanket. They take us as their enemy.
Dunning-Kruger is where you've got a student, say, and they muck around all year and they tell everyone how fucking wonderful they are. And then they go into the exam and they go, yeah, I'm going to absolutely ace this, no problem. They come out of the exam and the person that's running the exam says, how do you think you did? They go, absolutely breezed it. No bother whatsoever. I'm off to go and smoke a ciggy. See you later. And that person gets their result and it's got an F. That's Dunning-Kruger.
You responded, who's that? I will debate him too. Tom Tom, I'm a nice guy, so to be helpful I posted a message saying, do you want me to sort out so you can debate with Mr. Kruger? I can sort it for you. And you responded, he could be German. Well, I'm not sure, Tom Tom. But
and this is proving the globe. Again, just one attack on one man, and this is what they've got. This is their standard. Our standards here are exceptional. The gold standard is here for debunking the globe and proving the earth is flat. Over on the globe side, they have absolutely no tools whatsoever. So this is what they've got.
But his English is fine.
We'll publicise a comment section where I ad hommed him. This is worthy of an audit. This is worthy of putting it on screen, is it? This crap from the comment section.
Where do you want the debate? Tom Tom, you really are an idiot who says the stupidest things. I've got to do something about him. I know.
I know. I'll appeal to my 12-year-old mentality audience with the same exact gag that Fight the Flat Earth used. Reference frame's ruined. How can I help you?
Hi, Dan.
Hello, mate. It's Dan.
I just
Everything okay?
said that. Didn't I just say that? How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm just watching.
Look, never mind what you're watching, Dan. I'm having to deal with Multi Tom Tom, who says so many stupid things, and I thought it's time to put him up under a weather balloon and drop him from a...
Really? So now we're on to personal attacks of the violent nature. What's going on? What's going on? You're not proving the Earth's sphere. You're talking about dropping an individual you say is stupid. What the hell? Does anybody else find that quite objectionable? Surely this violates community guidelines.
About 35,000 feet.
You're talking about dropping a man from 35,000 feet?
Anyway.
Sorry, how is this not bullying? What's going on?
By hydrogen gas.
It is based on our beliefs or their beliefs that we should be sterilised or dropped from a balloon.
I find that highly objectionable. I don't understand how this man can get away with describing another human being as being dropped from 35,000 feet. How is that acceptable in any way? I'm not asking rhetorically. I'm asking, how is that in any way acceptable to detail without in any way actually having any decent argumentation behind the description of dropping somebody from a very high height? What's going on? This is acceptable, is it? This is what we've been replaced by. We explain how celestial navigation is used. We get shoved to the bottom of the lists and replaced with dick and fart jokes and dropping people from great heights.
Gas is quite expensive and I'm a bit stony right now, and I thought, what with your channel doing okay recently, you could send me a flipping great wad of cash.
Oh yeah, it's somewhere on my desk. Hang on.
Yeah, thanks mate, if you can just send it to me. Oh, by the way, you know Nathan Oakley's been doing all those videos about you.
It's the second mention of me on this show. My God, you guys must really hate me.
You? Well, it's obvious he likes you, and I've set you up on a date.
Like him? I love him. You and your reference frames are ruined. I mean, I've spent the entirety of this show pointing out how Simon Dan, who's on this show, has debunked Craig's specific example of teaching his children about the ruined reference frames. Yeah, I love the guy. I mean, you're talking about how stupid flat earthers are, but I've got a specific example on topic about the nature of Earth and the globe Earth claim of 2 reference frames used by the host to educate his children. Dan says they're ruined. So, who's the stupid one? Is it Dan, who says the reference frames are ruined, or Craig, who's teaching his kid with ruined reference frames? Okay, smug guy? Yeah, another personal attack on me, which will not have any evidence of a sphere Earth attached.
Cheers, mate. Well, I'm glad that's sorted. So, Tom, we don't want to hear any more idiotic things from you.
I definitely want to hear as much idiotic stupidness from people like you and Dan, so I can highlight it on my show that reference frames being ruined isn't conducive with Craig's claim of his teaching children. Now, given that Simon Dan's a lot bigger than Craig, I'm just going to accept carte blanche by way of consensus that Dan's right. He's got more people agreeing with him, right? So given that Dan's right and the reference frames are ruined, maybe, Craig's children should be taken away for the abuse? Because he's abusing them with ruined reference frames that aren't true. Dan says they're wrong. So, should we get social services involved for the incorrect education that Dan's saying? I'll express that clearly. Dan is saying Craig is teaching his children about ruined reference frames. Yeah? Do I seem stupid now? Eh? Or is it that I'm pointing out an inconsistency between you Muppets and your stupid assertions that demonstrate you don't understand your own claim, if Dan's wrong, or that Craig's being abusive to his children, teaching them about ruined reference frames, according to Dan? Not me. Dan. Dan's the one saying Craig's teaching his children stupid shit that's wrong. Ruined reference frames. Why are you teaching your kid about ruined reference frames, Craig? Why are you doing that? Seems very abusive to me. Dan agrees. He says those reference frames are ruined. He's got examples of men not drifting on trampolines to show you how we don't have two reference frames, Craigs. So why are you teaching your kid about them when they're ruined and Dan can show you how they don't exist? What's going on? I think this needs sorting. Meanwhile, Dan needs to come back to me about the triangles he's an expert in, given that we acquire them, and McToon is using them in his challenge. So we've got a problem with triangles too, lads. You need to sort all this crap out, rather than just personal attacks on flat earthers, followed by declarations, therefore the earth isn't flat, which is useless, let's be honest. That's a very low standard. I mean, maybe if you combine that with dick and fart jokes and cartoons, that'll do you better. But meanwhile, our standard's a lot higher. We point out inconsistencies with education of children. Craig's children, who is teaching about ruined reference frames, according to Dan. You're going to need to square this circle pretty sharpish. This is a very real problem. Because as far as I'm concerned, either Dan's wrong, and we do have two reference frames, Earth's turning underneath aeroplanes, shortening their flight times massively, or Craig's wrong. I mean, obviously they can't both be right. You can't have reference frames used for navigation according to Craig, and them being ruined. Look, here's an example of no drift. So no drift to use for navigation then, eh, Craig? This is a big problem. It's going to need resolving.
I tell you what, we'll give you a second chance. Why don't you sing us out, eh?
The earth is flat and you are a wanker. I don't know, I haven't got any more words to that one. I'll come up with some more later. How old is this guy?
Oh my God.
I'm being serious. How old is this guy?
Flat. The earth is flat. You know the earth is flat. Ain't got time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. But you believe in the lies of the Freemasonic Society. So the earth is a globe and it's spinning.
I would say thanks, Mr. Sense.
I would too, given that he's debunked radius.
After you introducing me to Multi-Tom-Tom's music,
And the debunking of the radius. You know, he helped affirm the fact that you can't measure it, Craig. You know, you want to give him the credit for the things he's actually done in the argument, because he didn't do anything in the argument there. Just a personal attack on Multi-Tom-Tom. What he has done is affirmed that the radius has been debunked. The one that was used earlier by Planet Walk. Thank him for that.
I don't want to.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Sensible. That's right. At best, we've debunked the radius used by Planet Walk earlier in this video.
You guys can still subscribe to him if you like, and
You can, or you could subscribe to Flat Earth Debate, where the standards are considerably higher. We won't waste your time with dick and fart jokes and personal attacks. We'll point out that you and your reference frames are ruined. Seems to put Craig in an awkward position where he's teaching his children about ruined reference frames, according to Simon Dan. That's what we do here. That's a high standard of pointing out your contradictions within your globe Earth rhetoric. That's what you get from them.
Find his link in the description. Now, one of the...
You won't find it in my description.
Absolute dumbest flat earthers that I've ever met is Nathan Thompson. So I thought I'd try and think of the stupidest thing that Nathan Thompson has ever said or done.
I mean, it beats coming up with globe proof. Just go out looking for stupid things that individuals have said, and then ascribe that to a stereotyping fallacy, and you've basically proven Earth's a sphere, Craig. I mean, this is beautiful.
But I couldn't think of just one. So here's the top 5.
I'm here with a real NASA employee. Legit NASA employee for asking NASA employee questions because he's lying. He's a blatant liar.
I saw that. NASA astronauts are liars. Now, maybe Nathan Thompson didn't clarify why they're liars, but I will do that now. NASA astronauts claim to be in a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum. Now, if the sky was a vacuum, the high-pressure gas that we're breathing would fill that space. We'd all be dead. They can't traverse through sphere-shaped air, passing it by into that area. Because if they can go into space, so can the gas. which is at high pressure moving at high velocity. That's what it would do. So, NASA astronauts claiming to be in space are liars.
Hey guys, real quick. I got a flyer for you. Check it out.
No, I'm sorry, we can't.
I can't give them a flyer? Hey guys, check this out real quick. Space is fake. You're not on a spinning ball.
What the hell is he doing? Is he at a playground?
Yeah, this is where you've got to say, you flat earth idiot.
What the hell
Anyone
are you
that's
doing?
Going up to my kids, whatever they're saying, get the hell away from my kids.
Yeah. I don't care if he's in agreement in terms of the nature of Earth. Get away from the playground.
Ball.
Yeah,
they're going to teach
he
you.
got called out for this. Yeah, this is a big deal. He got called out for this. That guy's a fucking, sorry for cursing. That guy is an idiot.
What's he doing?
He went to a playground and started telling all the kids it's not a globe. No business going near a playground. You don't go near. You stay away from kids, playgrounds. There are other people's kids. None of your business. Tell your own kids that if you want, but you don't go saying it to other people's kids.
Yeah, but it makes us
Playground. I
look
was in
bad.
school,
It's
man.
Right on.
I was at school.
A school?
Yep, in front of a school.
Oh my
Playground.
God. You're telling me he is leaning over the gate or fence of a school? I'm slightly lost for words.
Yeah, this is a couple of years ago, Nathan. The guy is just unreal.
I'll just give a disclaimer. Don't do this. I don't care what your faith is. Not don't do this for a flat earth. Don't do this for a globe earth. Don't do this.
Don't do it for anything.
Listen, guys, they're going to teach you you live on a spinning ball. That doesn't make it true. It's not real. The floor is not moving 1,000 miles an hour. Okay?
That's like a nutter.
It's just the school it represents.
One of the kids said you're crazy.
Yeah, it represents the system, right? The system of indoctrination. Now, if you're going to try and engage with that system, then you have to do it on the terms of the system. Yeah? Now, trying to be a vigilante in the system, which is what the school represents, is just stupid. You're going to get locked up.
Hi. Wanted to know whose house I'm couch surfing at. Well, check this out. Here's my shower. It's got 8 shower heads, so that's what I'm using right now, you broke globe bitches.
Wow, 8 shower heads.
All you broke globe fat ass stupid globe bitches.
Anybody know what the hell he's on about?
Just more crazy nonsense. The guy is unhinged.
Okay, this wasn't what I was expecting. Again, it's like, I can't remember who it was in the last bit we covered. I was like, yeah, critique away. Michael Kahn has gifted a membership, so if you want it, go and grab it. Thank you very much indeed, Michael Kahn.
Owen's already
Run,
knobbled
Ted,
it.
run.
Arwin's got it.
Yeah.
Cheek of it. It's a panel member.
I did.
But I have 4 Harley Davidsons, I have my own business, and I have my own mud truck.
Yeah, I see it.
Hey, let's see a shirtless selfie from your fat ass.
I just, for those of you listening and not watching, we've just got a shot of Nathan Thompson's abs. I have no idea what this is. Again, I'm a little bit lost for words. I didn't know Nathan Thompson was this off the wall.
You're really proud of yourself,
Do you
dude.
think
I'm
that
really
doesn't look
happy
good?
for you.
Does the Earth spin? Now, Craig will allege that there is some type of Coriolis force. So
Yeah, he does. He says he teaches his kid how to use the deflection to navigate. Meanwhile, Simon Dan says you and your reference frames are ruined.
So I want to look at the 2 ways a spinning Earth could affect our atmosphere. First,
Spin on. Atmosphere, sphere-shaped air? What's he talking about?
Like maple syrup, desperation, and vanilla?
Hi, I'm Brainy Beaver, and I'm coming to you from the channel that grips onto FTFE's coattails harder than a tourist on a hang glide through the Alps. And And I guess if you asked me what the dumbest thing a flat earther has ever said to me, it would be anything that Nathan Thompson has ever uttered. And that time that Spursquimo told me that you can't breathe on the top of Mount Everest because it's cold up there. Like if you go to the top of Mount Everest, you have less pressure on a gauge than if you were at the bottom of Mount Everest, right?
I disagree, but go ahead.
Can we agree?
No,
I disagree.
Brainy,
no, you can't.
Right, Brainy,
this is what we're dealing with?
Again, without context, I can't really critique this as not being relevant to the subject matter because I haven't got the full context. Anybody know the context to this?
Bunch of whining how stupid they think we are. I mean, they don't have a point. This is so dumb.
Yeah, but we're about to turn it into one, talking about gas pressure. So we'll see where this goes.
Oh my God.
I need to cue in a bit more about Spurs. It's not that he disagrees with that there's pressure. He disagrees with atmospheric pressure.
Air isn't sphere-shaped. Gas takes the shape of whatever container it's in. It's not sphere-shaped.
He says that is caused purely by differences in temperature.
But it doesn't matter. Okay, so what? You can't breathe cold air? That's bullshit. I live in Canada. Like, so why do they have air masks when they go to the top of Mount Everest?
Does anybody understand the point in regards to the debate? I'm finding it's...
The point?
I can tell you.
Point.
It's a non sequitur response given to a non sequitur claim. So that, and they're going to justify it as my non sequitur is true, therefore we live on a globe.
What's this? A visual representation of the fact that you can go out and it's cold? Wow, that's proven the Earth's a sphere for me. Well done. I don't understand what this is achieving.
They probably
What next?
Okay. So, the idea is that these people... It was a great point. Try to climb these mountains are not in the right condition. There was a guy in Europe somewhere, Wim Hof, where he's able to acclimatize his body.
What's he on about? Why is Spurs debating this? What does this have to do with the nature of Earth?
Withstand these cold temperatures. So what he does, he trains in the cold
I live
water.
in Canada. It's colder than the top of Mount Everest, dude. And we all would die when we walk out our doors. Because you're telling me all Canadians are in shape then. All of us are in the perfect shape so we can go out in the dead of the winter. And there's people who live in the Arctic where it's even colder than where I live. And
what does this have to do with the nature of Earth? I'm still asking. Shall I just spin past this bit?
Nothing. It's just them trying to expose how stupid they think flat earthers are. And that is it. There is no content.
Cash and grab, we will combine them all to get you the best deal possible. There's no need to have other products. There's no need for upsells. We got all four.
Nathan, can I add some context to that? What they're trying
it feels
to
like
do
I dropped
is-
acid. What's going on?
Yeah. What they're trying to do now, I'm not going to go for what's. I'm not going to start stating what Spurs was talking about because he was having issues with the whole pressure thing. But what they're trying to do is once again deny the temperature gradient. But your man stated that it's colder in Canada than at the top of Mount Everest. Now that is I don't know if that's true or false, whatever. But the only reason that they have air pressure in Canada is because of temperature, because of the warm temperatures that we have and the convection currents that we have. Especially the three main convection cells. It's all based on the sun. The sun, this is all official. It's not something I'm making up. It's all created by the sun, right? So the only reason they have air pressure in Canada, even though it's cold in the wintertime, is because it's also warm, right? Somewhere else, that's why they have it, because of convection cells. Up at the top of Everest, there is less air because there is a constant cold temperature at the top of Everest. That's why there's lower pressure, because there's less temperature constantly. There's not a constant temperature all the time, all day, every day in Canada. That's a changing temperature because we have temperature because of the sun, what it does with the surface of Earth. For the top of Everest, there is a constant cold temperature. That's why there is a lower pressure. But they're trying to deny temperature once again. They're trying to insert gravity, a force of gravity, which is out of date by 107 years, and ignore temperature. And your man, I don't know if it's true what your man said as far as temperature goes in Canada and the top of Mount Everest. I don't know that.
Thing is, Brian, it's painstaking listening to this. It's absolutely painstaking. I'm having trouble listening to it. I just want to turn it off. I can't listen to it. Imagine if you was a newbie trying to get involved with the flat Earth. This is just like pathetic listening to that. You just wouldn't entertain it. It's absolutely pathetic. They're coming across like children, and it's horrible to listen to.
Quick shout out to Michael Kahn, who gifted a membership to Nicholas Pitts. Thank you very much indeed, both of you. Welcome as a member.
I
We're in the
couldn't agree
same
more
place.
with that last
Icy,
statement.
cold.
From one deck. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, this is like painful.
Knife, dagger. You can't get anything more than that. What else would you want? Okay, now listen. This was crafted in Narnia by the famous knife dagger crafter, Igloo Seal Ball. If you know anything about Igloo Seal Ball, you know you gotta.
Again, they think your audience is dumb. That's what they're saying. They're saying, my audience is dumb. I know how dumb you are. And this will appeal to you. Shout out to Mr.
I don't
Sam.
know. I kind of like these daggers from Narnia. I want to know more. Just kidding.
It's hooked you, as
Great,
it.
I timed out a member.
It's hooked you already, as it, Arwin.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, what material are those daggers made from? I hope
Jump
not
on this
unicorn
product
horns.
now because it's only gonna go up in value. This is an introductory price. What? You know what? I'm being told. Can I? Absolutely. I'm gonna knock another $100 off this. We're gonna go for, boom, there it is, $199.
I'm about to drop just for cause.
Well, I think the purpose of this whole thing, right, is to degrade that there is any arguments, you know. So they're trying to act stupid as a way of demeaning both sides.
Act? What do you mean?
Dude,
act?
they're
Well, they
trying
are
to
stupid.
bore us.
Yeah,
to
it's not an
death.
act.
This is the dumbest, most boring, supposedly funny video I've ever seen.
Anyways, that's
Well,
it for
again,
me
think
today.
about it.
Thank you very much for having me as usual, FTFE. And if you guys haven't checked out my channel, you should come see Brainy Beaver. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Yeah, if you want to see rants about knives, go subscribe to Brainy Beaver, I guess.
Brainy Beaver is amazing and you guys should definitely check him out.
Yeah, he does a really good job at parodying QVC. Because that's what it's all about.
Wow, there we have it. The dumbest things flat earthers have ever said. I understand that was a lot of stupid and you may have harmed yourself by facepalming too much, and I am sorry about that. And I'm sure you understand that is all the stupid that I can take for today.
Well, you need to take a bit more because you've been educating your children about reference frames that Dan says are ruined. That needs addressing. We want to know who's right.
Mr. Oakley?
Say again?
I was just saying, wondering, did they actually take a clipped quote of anything you said, or because they mentioned you quite a bit? Did they quote you in any way?
I don't think so.
That's interesting.
They played a little
I just
clip
think that-
after, I think it was Mr. Sensible said, or Kat said that they talked to me about Christmas presents. I think it was just done for a gag. Meanwhile,
Well, if their
I'm
objective
just
is to make us more stupid, I think they're succeeding because my brain cells are literally just starting to shut down.
Well, think
Same
about
here,
it, right? When does the indoctrination start? When we're kids, right? So how do you keep perpetuating that? You appeal to the kid side of people, That's how you do it. This sounds like a globe version of Saturday Night Live. This is disgusting. That's
Except
retarded.
really not funny.
Yeah, exactly.
What a lovely day!